Mic is on. Hello, everyone. Hello out there in the big wide world. It's kind of a freaky thing. It's a very freaky thing because, Andy, we actually have no idea who could possibly be watching right now. I mean, we've got a little bit of an idea because there's a number of people in the chat room,
People in
which
the chatties.
we do know, but there are these lurkers out there, and these are the faceless people of the internet.
Yes. Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
The people that accost you when you're buying potatoes.
So I don't know what time of the year you guys have Halloween, but we've just had Halloween today. And everyone was telling me that it's a very Americanized event. But I had to correct everyone and tell them all that it's Irish originally. Wow. Everyone's saying hi.
It goes back a long, long way. It goes back a long way. There's Halloween traditions going right the way back through the
the Dark Ages,
yeah. through the United Kingdom and all sorts of different places.
Jamie's here.
Right across Europe and everywhere.
Hello, Mr. Jamie. I'm going to make sure that Jamie.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
We can hear you, but we can't see you. But that's okay. It's not your fault, Jamie.
All right. Okay.
It is because you've come in under this one.
Yay.
There we go. Hey, Jamie.
Hello, guys.
Hello, Darren. We're already streaming, so just thought I'd warn you.
Hi, Darren. Hi, Jamie.
I won't swear then.
Oh, go on. Be a devil. Push them out.
Oh, bugger. How you doing then, Andy? And Darren, how you doing?
Yeah, fine. You? Enjoyed your Patches videos. Well, enjoyed listening to those. Some really great sounds.
Oh, thanks very much. Yeah, the prologue thing.
Yeah.
I was only
sort of inspired me
originally
to play about with this thing.
But what, you Supernova?
Yeah, so actually, I've not programmed any new sounds on that for quite a long time. So I thought I'll turn around and have a play and actually reminded myself once again what a faff the damn thing is. Really, it takes ages to assign an LFO to a parameter. You know, it's really quite frustrating. It ought to be easy, but it's not. But anyway, I've persevered and programmed up some.
It's easy with the prologue for the simple reason there's only one LFO and 3 destinations, and you can only use one.
Well, quite. I mean,
what was Korg thinking
3 LFOs
about that?
and
seriously,
countless destinations.
No.
It's a bit strange one, isn't it?
Like, I mean, how hard is it to whack an LFO?
I know it was a bit of a strange call by him, but I don't know about you, but I'm. Is there usually a delay on vMix, like latency?
I'm not getting a delay from you. Are you getting a delay
it's just
back?
when I look at myself in this vMix call, I'm it's a good probably I don't know 6-7 seconds. Is that normal? That's all I want to know.
I don't know if it's normal.
Your voice and your image on screen are in sync from what I'm seeing.
When you, Andrew, when you look at yourself in the 4, are you when you talk? Is the video like 5 or 6 seconds?
When I see me, it's a little bit behind, but everybody else when they're talking, the audio and the image seems to be pretty much in sync. So I don't know why that happens.
I'm just wondering. It might be something.
There's always going to be a little bit of a delay. I don't know. You'd have to ask Ramsey about that. He knows the software. So
yeah, it wasn't a criticism or anything like that. It's just because I'm doing it slightly different. I'm using the virtual cam out of Wirecast this time.
Okay, that could be the reason.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Do you want to try it back to how you normally do it? Because I will admit, when you've done it before, it's always been perfectly crisp and clear, and this time it seems a bit different.
It's not the syncing of the. Yeah, I really don't know. I wouldn't have thought Wirecast should make any difference. 2. It's just the audio. Anyway, it'll do.
Okay, so
but as long as mouth and the sound is the same and
right.
isn't,
Darren, see if you can give me a high five. Ready, set, go. Can't even work it. Where's my hand have to go? There we go. Ready, set, go. It's weird. I can't try and do that. It is insanely hard. You don't even know where your hand has to go. I think I've got to go. Yeah, I've got to go like that.
Hey, Rand.
Got to go that way.
Okay, there.
That way.
Like the Brady Bunch. It is really hard.
It's
It's easier to do up and down because that's as you would expect, but left and right is kind of reverse. So I'm actually moving my left hand to the right. It's weird. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Not actually heard Darren yet. Have we got Darren's sound?
He's muted. Oh, it's very quiet.
Oh. Oh.
All right, better sort your sound out, fella.
Right, can you hear me now?
Better, but it's still quiet.
I forgot to put... Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah. That's, well, you are... Back off a bit.
I forgot to put the phantom power on.
Ah. There you go.
You need that for Halloween.
Or a dynamic mic that you have to shout into.
Now, can you guys hear that?
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. And can you hear this? As long as you can hear that, we're in luck. All right, so all the audio is checked through. Just kidding. We should play jokes on people like that, like just pretend that we're talking, like, and then everyone's going to get muted.
Trick or
in the
treat.
chat room. Now,
I'm going to
Jamie,
be scoffing most of
are
this.
you still using the virtual cam? Is it still delayed or?
It's only the vMix thing. It's just weird when I'm looking at myself. Not that I usually want to look at myself, but you know what I mean. But I'm just at that moment trying how I did it before by switching just to the ATEM.
But when I talked to you, you answered me straight away, so I know there's no 6 or 7 delay.
Yeah, I think the audio it's the video.
Yeah,
the preview of this vMix or something. That's all.
yeah,
that's all it is, because I have it all the time ever since we started. Because, like I say, when I put my hand up, there's about a 4-second delay before I see my hand go up.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I mean. Right.
Yeah, I've always had it, but it's fine on the voice and coming on the channel. It's just us looking back at it.
I just did that for
Ramsey's on a pair
Xils-labs.
of pants over his camera.
Xils-labs said he can't see me, so I just thought I'd put a tea towel over. I put a tea towel over my head. The Libyans. No, okay.
Whoa.
Careful.
I had all the Libyan viewers watching. All
Channel
of
shut
0. Dearie me. All right, 20 people on. I'm not going to start the show until I get 100. No, just kidding. I'm just joking.
I'll see you in February.
Yeah, we'll be here for a while. Nobody cares. Everyone will just leave. Now, thank you for everyone who actually did pay attention last week and worked out that the clock did go back an hour. For me, it doesn't change. So this is at the same time. And it's kind of annoying because I don't really know the better way to do this, but I can't please everyone in the world at the same time. So I'll just have to do it at the time that my time zone says, which is... That's why I sort of stick to a UTC clock, because that way I don't ever have to change it.
That makes sense. I think people know when it is if they want to tune in. So
yeah.
Peter.
Okay, we've got Peter.
Christensen. That's a great name.
I'm trying. I'll just say Peter Christensen.
So, yeah.
On the sofa with an iPad. Well, there's an iPad sitting here. Now,
good to see you, Peter.
It is good to see Peter. It's good to see everyone else.
I use an iPad when I'm watching your show, Jamie. The only problem is I can't chat.
What's that? Why can't you
All
chat?
So you don't even know I'm there. So I can spy on you.
I can hear when you're typing though. Sounds like this.
Yeah, no, my iPad 2. That's all it is. Well, I can't get live chat on it, so I just have to watch. I can't join in.
I'm actually surprised it actually hasn't just said, no, YouTube no longer works on your iPad. See you later. You have to go and spend another $1,000 and get another iPad.
Yeah, my other one does do that. I can't watch YouTube on the other one now. It keeps wanting to update, but it can't update because it's too old to update.
This one is the. You remember the last iPad Pro that they brought out with the headphone socket? So this one I cherish because this is before Apple really lost their mind. They've still got
that's the second generation one, isn't it?
Yeah, second gen.
Yeah.
I've got the same, and I don't know about you. What's your touch like? Because on mine,
it's crap.
You can spend ages just pushing it, and nothing happens.
And I think it's something to do with it
the whole point of a touch screen is that it does something when you touch it, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it's annoying because you're on I don't know, any sort of website and you're typing, and only half the letters work when you're typing. You're like,
was it always like that, or has it deteriorated over time?
It's deteriorated. I think it's deteriorated.
Yeah. I did wonder.
When it's freshly installed and everything's fine, but yeah, when it's when you sort of do a fresh thing, but once you start adding apps, it just, I don't know. I think I've tried loads of things and then I'll just give up. So I spent £1,000 on this iPad to do stuff with music, but it's ended up just being a TV.
The Netflix.
It is. That's all it is.
Sit there and rest it against your pillow in your bed.
On a similar note, for the first time ever, my mobile phone, my ancient mobile phone here, I plugged it into a USB socket here to charge it up, and for the first time, the computer's actually recognised it. It actually, for some reason, recognised it, and I could transfer all the photos and all the little videos that I've made on there off the phone and free up gigabytes of memory. It was like, oh, bless, that's wonderful. So with any luck, this thing might actually become a useful tool, because the main problem with it was that the computer never recognised it, and now it seems to have decided it wants to. Very strange.
I had that, Andy. I had my old phone, old Motorola G. I think it's the first gen, actually. Never recognised it from brand new. It was all updated and everything. It's got to be, I don't know, 10 years. Eventually recognised it and then told me it was out of date. After 10 years.
Mine's not 10 years old. It's 4 years old, but it's. But yeah,
it's probably not 10, but it's getting on for that, I think.
In the UK, do you guys have, with your phone companies, right? Do you guys have them so that they basically rent the phone to you over about a year or 2 years?
Yeah.
And because these are starting to get more and more expensive, in Australia they've started to introduce 3 years as a contract, and I'm like, no way am I going into a contract for 3 years for a damn phone.
Yeah,
because this is
it can work out cheaper buying it.
This is a Note 10, and I think these were like about 1,800 Australian or about 900 quid to get. Just if you were to pay outright for the hardware,
I'm not paying that much for a phone. I just refuse.
That's a lot of money for a phone.
I'm just not. So I just bought a cheapo phone because I can make phone calls and send text messages, and it's got a camera on it. I mean, I can't be doing with trying to sit there and use it for the internet and all of that sort of thing. It's just too much of a bleeding ball ache.
Yeah.
I think, well,
I have to use mine for work.
Nice big screen here, so
I don't really get a choice.
Well,
but yeah.
I suppose so, but.
Right.
You're right. I'm a basic contract.
Hold your thoughts. I'm going to mute you all. We're going to go to the start of the show. Hey, welcome to Saturday. Awesome to have you. And today, I guess it's going to be a bit of fun. We're going to try a few things out. We're going to start with our normal segments. We're going to introduce a bit of news. There's some really cool info that I've got come through from a local English or British synth manufacturer, and you guys will probably work that out pretty soon who that is. We got a cool bassline synth we're going to check out, a new one, and something old from new, something old from Moog that is new again, and also I think there's going to be some interesting discussions about the System 500, and I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek of that. It's sitting over there. So if you did come because you're interested in the System 500, well, this is all we're going to show. See you later. No, just kidding. We're going to get into that a bit later in the show, and I do hope you guys I want it to be interactive, so it's real, it's live. We can plug things in and muck around. So I've never done that, but without further ado, I think we should introduce everybody else that's here. Hello to Darren, Andrew, and Jamie. And I think we'll start with Jamie, if that works. How's your week been? And thank you for joining us again. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for letting me come back on. If people aren't sick of me. Yeah, I've been all right, really. This week, what have I been doing? I released some Prologue patches, and I've been sampling everything. I've been sampling all the oscillators of these things. And, oh God, I'm sick to death of hearing sawtooths and square waves and everything. But I've just been doing sampling and finding out again that I don't enjoy sampling, and just sticking them all samples in here at the moment. Of course, it's a bit mirrored. I don't know if you can hear this, but can you hear that?
Yeah, we can.
I don't know if you can hear that.
Interestingly,
Right,
though,
okay,
I am getting some feedback from myself, and also your video is reversed. I've just noticed.
Yeah, I know. I know.
He just said it was mirrored.
I don't have a symmetric face, so it will. It might scare people seeing it's Halloween as well. So my nose will go from one side to the other. Just do it quick.
The GeoSynth
like that
logo's
animation we
backwards.
used to do as kids. Yeah.
Anyway, it's really good
Syntheon.
to have you back. And I have been following some of the stuff you've been doing, Jamie. So I've been very impressed with the patches and stuff that you've been releasing. So I do want to give your website and everything a bit of a plug a little bit later. We'll go through a few things that you've just... because there's some exciting stuff you've done recently, so I think everyone should know about that, that's for sure. Moving right along, I think we'll say good day to Darren, who has joined us again. How you going, Darren? How's your week been?
Take a drink.
Yeah, it's going okay. Until we heard that we're probably going into lockdown on Wednesday, so God knows what that's going to do. Not too bad. Been working how to get R2D2 into a trans track for tomorrow.
R2D2 in a trans track? Wow. You need an
Tomorrow,
R2600 for that.
Yes, R2D2 acid trans tomorrow.
Okay. I actually have no idea.
Other than that, it's been fine. What I'm on about.
I honestly have no idea what lockdown actually really achieves. To be fair, I mean, yeah, it's. I think they've got to the point where they just don't know what they're doing now. It's very frustrating. And we can't forget Andy. How's your week been, Andy?
Yeah, sort of all right. Fairly uneventful. The weather's been dreadful, so I've not been out very much. I've been doing battle with the MPC, which is proving more frustrating than I was expecting. I still think that's user error rather than the box, but still.
There's a lot of things to try and understand.
Oh, there is, Jamie, actually, and that's one of the issues. It's actually so deep. And my initial plan of trying to learn all the bits before I actually try to use the thing may not necessarily be wise. Maybe I should focus on what it is that I actually needed to do and focus on those now rather than trying to... It'll come together. But and like I said to Jamie, sort of in the pre-show, I've been spending some time with my Supernova, which I felt I've neglected for quite a while, and trying to get back into programming some sounds on that, having watched Jamie's Prologue sound videos and thought, oh, it's about time I did some more sound programming and stuff. So I've been doing that with degrees of success. some of the sounds I thought have been really good. But I do find this sometimes at times quite a frustrating synthesizer, because it's got so many functions and buttons to assign one thing to another that it can sometimes just be a bit of a mystery. So yeah, well that's been my sort of week, and then of course I'm back to work on Monday, but who knows how long that'll last. We might all be told to work from home again in a week's time. So
gosh, here we go again. It's like what
Yeah,
is
here
it
we go
like?
again.
Winter strikes, and well, it's not even winter yet, but you know, the threat of winter strikes, and they lock everyone down. It's just ridiculous. It's really silly. Dear me. Anyway, we shall.
I can't work from home.
We all should just pretend that there's nothing called COVID, and we're just going to talk about synths and take our mind off it all and see if we can have a little laugh. Now, before we do that, we're going to say good day to the chatties. Geez, I was having a quick look there. It's a Discord's below, and I haven't updated that, so I probably should have that open and just type something in there, just to prove. I don't know. It's one of those weird things. Discord. Here we go. Test. Yep, that works. Beautiful. Discord's working. Obviously, the YouTube chat on my right-hand side is working beautifully, and a big hello to everyone. So, sure we do. We'll say good day to everyone from the start. So, Inverted Popes gets the gong. He was first in. Big hello to you. Finn was next. ASIO Head. Richard is there. Wagoo. Inky. And scrolling Mike Delic. Hanway Weesness there. Good to see you, mate. Max there. Sonar Freak. One of the faceless ones. Fantastic. Nice of you to come out of the lurking shadows. It's awesome. Good to see. Good to see. Native VS is there. Axel Soft Music is there. Big hello to you, mate. Mark's there. Mega Mark. Wagoo. Who else have I missed? Probably everyone. Scrolling really quick. Don't want to miss anyone. Everyone's chatting. Sergio, big hello to you. Peter Christensen, we said hello to you before, but big hello officially now on the show. And I think that
seems like I've missed some sad news.
Analog, yeah, we have. We'll get to that in a sec. Analog Stories there, official. Big hello to you. Wayne Murray is there. Hi to you. Where else? Anyone I've missed? Just like I said, every week, throw your synth at the screen in disgust. Because you just can't miss people. But anyway, I think we got everyone. I think we did. If we missed anyone, let's shout out anyway, for sure. Right, moving right along. Let's start with our first segment of the proceedings, and that is attempt at humour, maybe. Some bad attempts at humour. Stranger things can happen. You guys actually may laugh. This would be a first. Anyway, memes do happen, and this is the first one. Apple have released a new device, a new dongle for MIDI. Yes, I don't know if you guys can work it out. It's literally just some guy who put a photo up on a Facebook page. He said, "This is how I hold my DIN plugs when I solder." I thought this has got to go on the memes. This is a new Apple device. So that one went down really well. Anyway, next one. We shall keep going. This is why I love doing this, because it's just such a bad show. Car repairs. Your car's been keyed. The good news is the damage appears to be minor.
Oh, that's good.
Apparently the
sharps are in the wrong place.
The sharps in the wrong place? Yeah. I don't know. Moving right along. And going into those clothing costume shops during the week, because we had Halloween, and took a photo of this. Your old DJ includes newsy hat.
That's what I look like now.
And the cool vest. Nice little turntable there. Who else? Who's getting offended and leaving the show already? Because that's what's supposed to happen. This one was good. Sold as his very first passive multiple Eurorack module. And now he's got professional synth repairs and Eurorack knowledge on the side of his van. That was a pearl of that one. I love it. There are so many memes, at the moment going around. It was actually hard. All I did was just pick the first 4, and I think it's the little meme folder that I've got for future shows is filling up. I don't even know if I'm ever going to get to the bottom of it. Guys, what was your favourite this week?
Well, I like the Apple.
Probably the last one.
I actually quite like the
Apple.
I like the guy in his snazzy 1930s style clothes. I thought that was actually really. I thought he looked very smart. I don't know what people were laughing at. I thought it was a proper fashion statement. Am I going to have to invest in some waistcoats and a flat cap?
B-. Everyone's got a different one. That's good. The world of diversity. Okay, right. Moving right along. We've got a little bit of a big news segment coming up. So what I thought I'd do is roll the stinger, and then before we get into the synth stuff, I've got a couple of little things to get through first. Just to warn you. So a big heartfelt week has kind of hit us with the passing of Chris Huggett from Novation fame, Bass Station, Oscar, all these fantastic synthesizers. Probably, in my opinion, I think he's probably the best synth designer engineer the world has seen. Mainly because I tend to sort of gravitate towards the Peak and the Bass Station. Whenever I'm writing tracks, they just tend to be things that I use because I always find the sound that comes out of him is the sound that I want. So whatever wavelength he's on is the wavelength that I like to come out in my tracks. And it's just really, really sad to see him go. And, watching the tribute from Dave Spears on Sonic State during the week was also, it was a brilliant thing that he said. So to you, Chris, Vale, Chris Huggett, very, very, very sad to see you go. And on that note too, I just found out today that Sean Connery's passed. So he hit 90, and I'm a bit of a James Bond fan, and also I didn't mind the old Sean. He was good. Had a good innings, I'd say. 90 years. It's pretty good for most. Don't even know if will any of us will get to that sort of length of time, but a bit sad to see him go as well, because you just thought he'd one of these people that you'd think, does he time travel? This guy, he's been around for a long time. But yeah, no, he was definitely someone who clocked up the years, that's for sure. And right up until probably the last few years, he was still pretty active out there in movie land and media and stuff like that. So hats off to you, Sean, and sad to see you passing. Anyway, we do have some news. Now we'll start off with, I guess we'll probably start off with this one. Let me get the video happening. Here we go. Nice little bit of marketing there from Modal Electronics, and I actually am quite impressed with the way they've been marketing lately. It's actually been pretty good. But aside from that, if you have been sleeping under a rock and you don't actually follow any sort of synth news, well, here you are hearing it for the first time here on my show. I really feel sorry for you if that's the case. But anyway, Modal have announced a new synth called the Cobalt8, and it's kind of a familiar looking synth. You guys might recognize it. Looks very similar to the Argon 8, which they released late last year, and but it is different, and it is an 8-voice VA style. They call it a warm analog style synth, and I probably do agree with them. Now, what's good about this is I don't have one here, which is the bad part, but the good part is Modal have been good to me to send me through some information, and I can share some audio clips and things like that straight out of the back of it. So it's the best I can do at this stage anyway. I'm not popular enough on YouTube to get given free ones. But let's talk a little bit about what it can do. And while I'm talking, I might maybe show you another video. We can do that while we're doing the same thing. Oh, I've lost the little thing gone. Where's that gone now? So some patches. Patch. This is Jamie's world. Here we go. So we'll turn this down a little bit. You guys can listen to that in the background while I'm talking, and I can turn it up and down if you need, but it's an 8-voice VA synth, 2 oscillator groups from selectable 64 algorithms, 4-pole morphable ladder filter, and it is kind of like a continuous morph on that filter too, which is awesome. Heaps of modulation ability with 3 envelope generators, 3 LFOs, and 2 of the LFOs polyphonic. 52 note step sequencer with animation lanes, or 64 note with 8 note per step, plus an arpeggiator. Supports NPE with FATAR 37 note keyboard with aftertouch. Watch this space. I wouldn't be surprised if they follow the same sort of suit as the Argon and having a desktop module as well. 3 configurable FX engines, patch storage for 500 patches plus 300 are filled up with factory sounds. And of course, you do get the Modal app for the further deep diving into the sound design. Have a bit of a listen. Well, gentlemen and ladies, £579. It's available in November. Who's excited about the Cobalt 8? Who wants to put their hand up and have a little comment about that one first? Oh, we got Andy. Okay, go for it, Andy.
I watched a couple of the videos during the week of this one and actually thought it sounded fabulous. I thought it sounded really, really lovely. And I know I've mentioned it before that I'll be in the market for another polysynth at some point soon. I'm not obsessed with it necessarily having to be analog. Virtual analog might just do me quite happily. But I heard this and it excited me more. I thought it had a much more pleasing sound than the Argon 8. But to be fair, I think if you've got the two, then we give you a really nice, combination of different sort of textures, a more warm analog sound next to a very sort of clinical digital sound. I always thought that the Argon 8 sounded really quite clinical. So I think it's a really smart move on their part. I think it looks fabulous. I think it sounds fabulous. I think they've got a hit on their hands. I really do.
Yeah, very nicely said. Yeah, I definitely do think it sounds different to the Argon 8. And I should know because I have an Argon 8 right here. And you can even listen to it if you want. But we can get sorted into that a bit later. Anyone else want to make a comment about the Cobalt 8? Jamie or Darren? Hands up for those. Any of you guys?
Yeah, I'll say something. Go ahead, Darren.
No, all I was going to say is pretty much what Andy said, but I think it looks very nice. And that blue reminds me of the Novation Supernova.
Similar
blue, Andy. It looks.
Yeah, I just said that in the chat, actually. I just said, the blue would match my Supernova nicely.
Yeah. I think...
it's a very similar shade.
I think it looks nice. It sounds
and your Raven,
nice well.
by the way.
I think I like...
You've got that lovely blue Raven.
That's true. But it's not got that sort of ionised effect, the Raven. It's proper, just brushed metal. Yeah, I think it's really nice. And I think I like that more than the Argon, actually. I mean, I've not had them side by side, so hard to say, but yeah, I've got some talk back coming.
I think that's coming from Jamie's, but we can sort it out.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Jamie.
We'll go to Jamie. Jamie, you can share us your thoughts about the Cobalt.
Right, yeah, I think it's a fantastic synth, isn't it, really? I mean, I've got an Argon 8 as well, and for the money, you can't sort of fault the sort of build of it. A lot of the time with, the cheaper end, things that maybe come from, the Far East, they're a bit flimsy and a bit plasticky, whereas I've got the 8 version, the 8 key version, and it's really solid and chunky. I think this, I think it sounds better. From what I've heard so far, anyway, it sounds better than the wavetable. I mean, at the end of the day, wavetables only sound good if the wavetable is very good. You can't add frequencies in if they're not there, and sometimes with wavetables they can be a little bit too thin. Mm-hmm. But I think what the icing on the cake with this synth really is that filter. The Argon8, a few different filters, but they're not that characterful. But in this one, having that the 4-pole ladder filter with all those different changes, and there was that shaped one, which was a bit like a notch filter type thing. Notch filters and bandpass there, my territory that I love. So, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a massive hit, and some of the sounds on there sounded really good. The James High, who's made Jarofsky, he did quite a lot of them. So,
yes, he did.
Sounded really, really good.
Yeah, awesome. Now, I think echoing everyone's comments, I do agree. I think it's. I definitely am going to get this as well. Now, I've got the Argon8, and this synth, it looks the same. It's got the same sort of UI. I actually really enjoy what Modal have done with their, DSP or, FPGA programming. It's actually really quite intuitive. And having said that, on top of that, you do have the iPad, the Modal app that you can get as well, which I can show you a little bit about that later. But obviously, I can only show you the Argon8 because I haven't got that. But who wants to hear a bit of a sound clip? We've got a couple that have they've sent me. I don't know if this is going to come through if I play it here. First is like an audio demo. Okay, so I'm going to have to click that and go like this. So that was the first one, and the next one is called Droplets. So this is directly out of the Cobalt8. You can hear definitely they're playing with some of the effects in that, and you can also hear the FM. It's got an analog modeling FM sort of engine in it as well. So it does have a warmth. They're absolutely right when they say that. It definitely has a warmth to it, doesn't it? It definitely isn't a shrilly digital sounding VA, that's for sure. So whatever they've done,
it's a great thing, and I think as well what they've done right from the start, which a lot of people don't, or companies don't, is they've come out with an app at exactly the same time as the product comes out, because it really does help. I noticed with the Argon8, and I'm sure you did as well, using the app, the whole modulation destinations, they're all in front of you, the slots, and they're just so quick to assign. There's, of course you can do it on the front panel, but using the app, it's just so much quicker. So a lot of companies, for instance, Wave State is an ideal synth that needs a some kind of software editor for things like the assigning. So, hats off to Modal for doing that straight away. But yeah, I think I'll probably end up getting one of these. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. That whole sort of black strip in the middle, you set the bottom one for, say, like you got there, the velocity, and then assign it to the cutoff, and then you can have a positive or negative amount. That's it. You're done, and then you can just move on to the next row. And some of the different ones have more parameters in there for you to mess with. So everything's pretty much there on one sort of page, and then you've got the effects and so on. The effects were probably, I don't know how they have addressed those actually in this one, or whether it's the same, but it's a little bit strange in that the more effects you add, the more the sort of drive signal disappears in volume. So you have to kind of make up for it with the patch gain, and it's an unusual way of doing it. But yeah, I'm looking to try and get my hands on this, but I've got so much to work on at the minute, so it'll probably be next year by the time I get around and do anything with it.
Yeah, I think it's the same with the effects, because they do talk about 3 configurable FX engines, and that's the same as the Argon8. So whether it's the same algorithms in there, I don't know, because I actually haven't got my hands on one yet. But yeah, there are some good videos out there. There was a quick one from Nick from Sonic State. He's had a quick sort of glance over it. That's probably a good overview one if you want to see it. And Bo did one where he's compared it to the Argon8. So if you are thinking, no, I just see them just loading VSTs on here and they're trying to trick us. No, it's definitely, it sounds different. So yeah, do check it out. All right, we should move on. That was good news. Lots of synths this week. What's the next one? Yes, like I did say, Moog bringing out something old and making it new again. So there you go. The Workstat 01. It's the... I don't know if you guys remember when they did the Moog Fest way back in 2014. This was the first, I think the first Moog Fest that they did, if I remember rightly. And if you signed up for this, all the engineers would have to go and do a project, and they would have had to have soldered this thing together. So when they finished doing that, everyone said, you guys should release this as a product that people can buy, because it's going to be a good entry-level Moog synth. Now, this predates things like the Mother 32 and all that sort of stuff that they had out there. So it's kind of, a simple DIY. You don't have to solder the ones that you get now as a kit. It's pretty much just screw a couple of things together and it clicks together and it's working. But you can say, I've made a Moog synth. I've done DIY. If that's kind of something that you want to aspire to. But the new one that's coming out now, it's exactly the same as the old one. I'll show you mine in a sec, which I bought in 2015. It comes with that CV connector board on the right-hand side. It actually comes with it. Before you had to buy it separately, which kind of sucked. What else? It's if you're wondering what it is, it's just a mono synth with a single oscillator offering a saw and a pulse waveform with PWM. It also includes the famous D24dB ladder filter that Moog are famous for, to give it that sort of Moog character. But it also has an LFO, an ADSR envelope generator, as well as a basic VCA. The CV add-on gives us access to inputs and outputs of various features of the synth, so you can connect it up to your Eurorack, or perhaps even use it with something like your keystep. And there is no MIDI on this at all. There's a wealth of information out there about the Workstat, though, which is good because it's been out for a while, like I said, about 6 years or so. You can even do Arduino projects with it. So head on over to the Moog website and you'll find those. Guys, quick opinion, who's going to rush out and buy a Workstat? And yes, here's my old trusty Workstat sitting here. Even with the CV mod, look at that.
Well, it's a cheap Moog. It's a cheap Moog if you want one, and it sounds good. So
that's why I'm very tempted. I watched Robin Vincent's sort of build demo and thing of it in the week, and just thought. And then I thought, well, he's not said how much it is. Then I went and had a look, and £199.
$199 US dollars. Yep.
Oh, do you know? And then of course my common sense module kicks in. And says, if you do that, that's another £200 that you haven't got to spend on the next stuff, and you've still not learned how to use the MPC yet. Come on, Brooks, stop being a clown. So by the time I actually think, yes, it's time to get one, there won't be any left. But never mind. And then of course there's the question: do I really need it? And then the answer to that is, it's another mono synth. No, I don't really need another mono synth. I'd like another mono. I'd like lots of mono synths. Mono synths are lovely. We love mono synths. Do I need it? No. So I'm not going to press buy, but I really
I'm with you, Andy.
Very tempted.
In these times, you need to decide on whether you need it rather than you want it.
Well, exactly. The saving up for me. I mean, I've made my mind. I think I said last week. I said I've set my mind as to what comes next and why, and it makes sense within the setup that I've got to get something which I don't currently have or can't currently do, which obviously is it's what we're going to be talking about today, isn't it? It's the eurorack stuff. It's going to come. So, but it won't be like, I'm not going to go out and buy a huge, great big system. I will buy a case, and I will buy a couple of modules, because I can connect up the Pro 1 to them. I can connect up the MPC and other things. So that's where I'm going to go. I looked at the Werkstatt, and I really thought that the Werkstatt, with that little thing on the side of it with all the Eurorack compatible ins and outs, makes it actually perhaps not such a stupid idea after all. But hold your horses, Brooksy.
What about you, Jamie? Are you gonna? I mean, you're normally a sort of a bigger synth person, but what about you? Are you gonna get yourself a Werkstatt?
Yeah, it matches my my frame, the bigger ones. I've got, like Andy, I've got a lot of mono synths, and I mean, I don't make patches for mono synths, but I'm looking right now. I've got a subsequent 37 CV, and I've got, I'm going to solve a matrix brute and things like that. So I think I'll probably leave this one. I mean, if you want to touch, dip your toe in the water of Moog, then fair enough, something like that, as well as trying, you're learning a skill as well, soldering. I think if I did it, it'd just turn into one big melted pot of solder. But, building things
I don't think
yourself.
You have to solder anything on it.
You don't have to solder.
Well, that's all right then. But it is what it is, isn't it? Really, 200 quid. What could you get for 200 quid? Maybe some of the sort of cheaper Behringer, gear. It's a bit close to that, but there's nothing really that's got that kind of ladder filter sound yet. So, go for it. I think with the. I might be wrong now. I think originally you had to buy the CV thing separately, but it comes with it this time, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
So that's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good way to interact. Yeah. Can it? I won't be getting one though. No, it's not real. I don't need anything like that.
I'll give you guys a bit of a better look at it. So this is not the original one that they had at the workshop where you actually had to solder. This is the original first model that they sent out to the public, which you didn't have to solder. And so this is pretty much exactly like what they're going to be selling now. This is the world's best keyboard down here. Look at that. That's just stunning. Look at that. It's fantastic. Actually, the fact that it's got a little keyboard on there is actually pretty handy. But having said that, this CV stuff down the side here is actually really, really cool. If you've already got Eurorack, and for example, you don't have anything, you don't have Behringer, Model D, or nothing to do with Moog, you could get yourself, just using the filter in this, you've got yourself a Moog sounding filter. And that will do it for you. But yeah, $199 US. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I'm going to show you something a bit later in use, which is worth less. But
when you think about those Moog pedals, there was one that was just the low pass filter, and those are like silly money, 400-500 quid second hand now. So you effectively get an external filter just for a couple $100 and a decent one at that. So yeah, I suppose for that part it's worth. And really, when you look at the price of modules, I mean, put into one side Behringer and maybe some of the Dreadbox stuff, but that's the kind of price you're looking at for modules anyway, aren't you? So yeah, goodbye, I think.
Yeah, I think you could probably even hack this. Like I was just putting that in my case before, and it's a little bit higher. The height of it's a little bit higher than a Eurorack. But if you've got a hacksaw out, you can probably actually get this to fit into a Eurorack if you try.
Or use a hammer.
Yeah. So have some fun. Anyway, we should move on. We've got more news. Now, I did mention to you something about a new mono bassline synth, and that is this baby here. This is the mono from a company called Norand. They're a new French company, Norand. They've been kind of based, the engineers that work there are kind of from a company that you guys would have heard of, which is, I think it's Squark Instruments. So there's a bit of a squarp instrument sort of influence in this. But let's have a look at the video now. If everything goes well, I've got to try and remember which video it is. I did actually have a video of the Moog, but we can have a look at that in a second anyway. Let's have a look at this one. I think the drums in this is the MPC 1000 behind it, by the way. So what is it? It's a bassline synth, analog for everything. Brings that sort of squarp instruments sequencer side of it to it. It's quite an impressive sequencer too on this. In the heart, it's got 2 analog oscillators. So that's what's different about this to other bassline synths. And they have continuous variable waveforms. There's also a fine-grained detune control with hard sync and 3/0 analog FM for those wider sort of timbres. There's also a 3-pole state variable analog filter which continuously goes between bandpass, low pass to high pass output, and finishing it off with a nice ADSR to shape your sound. But where this actually takes off is a modulation section which offers 13 dedicated attack decay envelopes with 20 modulators, each giving you the simple touch of a knob to show where the underlying parameter is. The LFO offers up to 80 seconds of cycle with 4 waveforms to choose from, and you can run it into audio rate territory, which I always love with free or sync modes. Sequencer offers 64 steps of 64 patterns, including individual length, scale, beat division per pattern, and there's also a micro shift, ratchet, and probability per step, plus parameter per step automation. So it's pretty filled up with all the cool things that you'd expect from a little mono synth, sort of kind of the modern version of a TB303, I would say. Anyway, gentlemen, what do you guys think of the mono from Norand? Interesting. $666, if you're wondering, for pre-orders.
That's the catch. That's the catch with it. It sounds fabulous. It sounds great, but I think they're up against it. I think they're really up against it. The Behringer Crave and the TD03, you know, that they do that sort of thing. Okay, this might have a wider range of synthesis parameters, but I think people are going to sort of find it hard. I know there are other things which are similarly priced. I mean, you could argue the Mother 32 and so on are along similar lines, but it's a shame. If it was £150 less, it would be really interesting. You'd be going, oh, that sounds, oh, I really like this. But you know, £666, and you're thinking, oh, actually, that's the same price as an MPC one, mate. Are you sure about this?
And that's a pre-order price. So the price will go up to $890 once they've got through that pre-order part. So you're getting even higher.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, and
problem.
Look, if you're going to do that, you've got to make it look. I know it can do a lot of other things. You've got to make it look and behave more than, because basically they're just making it look and feel like a TB303, and there's that many clones out there. So you've either got to go a different way and make it look slightly different. For that price, I mean, you can buy 4 Behringers for that. Yeah, it's nice, but I'll stick with the Behringer, the 2 Behringers for now. Like I say, for that price, you want to be going off in different routes and looking not like a TB or 303.
And your Behringer's even got a smiley face on it. They couldn't even put a smiley face on there.
They've still got 2 smiley faces on it. Well, they'll be squealing at R2D2 tomorrow.
Now, Jamie, we know what you said before about mono synths.
Yeah, I mean, it's I like the knobs on it. They looked all right. That's maybe where all the money is, but Yeah, I mean, they didn't Squab, didn't they do the pyramid, which is kind of it's quite an expensive one, as I recall. But yeah, I think if you're going to do a demo of a video, if you're going to do a demo of a video and it's got 2 oscillators and all these extra things, why make it just sound like a 303? You want to play to its strengths, really. And if that's the strengths, then yeah, like you could get like a like Darren says, a sort of a 4-voice TD3, the Behringer 4-voice, and it's a TD3, 4 of them. So it's.
Well, you've just planted a seed there,
yeah,
James.
Yeah, I know, it could be. Imagine an orchestra of just loads of people on stage, if we ever do get back on stages, but just an orchestra of just people with TD3.
Awesome.
But yeah, yeah, it's not.
And a Strymon big sky.
And a theremin.
Yeah, I'll have the big sky, thanks. I'll just do that. I'll just have a permanent shimmer. No, it's unusual. Some people will buy it, but I don't think I will. But I did like the knobs. Look good.
So, Jamie, what you're saying is you'll wait for after the pre-order and then you'll get it when it goes up in price. I've never understood that logic. Honestly, that's just
it is
silly.
It is a bit of. I mean, you can understand it for things like Kickstarters and stuff like that. I mean, there was the guys with the Implexus. That was like if you got in early, you got £100 off, and that's good because it creates a bit of momentum, and then hopefully it snowballs for things like that. But it's a bit unusual for. Yeah, why would you spend that amount of money when you could? Like Andy says, get an MPC one that's got all plugins in it, and it's got sampling and. CV and all this sort of stuff.
The Behringer TD3. You could get what seven of those for the same price as the Behringer.
Maybe it sounds great. Maybe it can do something that it just can't. Others can't do. But I wasn't hearing it in that little clip.
No. So,
but this is a prime example of getting the cost right. This is a prime example of getting the cost right of what you're selling, because when you first look at it, everyone's like, oh. And now the price, and look at us, we're all sort of like, no, yeah, maybe not. And it's completely destroyed however it sounded.
There's a similar box from Erica Synths as well, which is also very, very tempting and sounds fantastic. But again, it's just priced that little bit higher. I think it's about £400-500 for the Erica Synths box. And you're going, well, yeah.
The Erica one was good.
You really love that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Really, really lovely.
Apparently they've been selling quite well.
No doubt this box is absolutely fabulous too. I mean, I don't doubt that it will be a wonderful thing to have, but you got to ask yourself, is it worth that amount of money? Is that worth that amount of my money? And at this point, I'm sorry,
if there was something unique, if there was something unique about it, then yeah, you could probably look at, you're not going to get this anywhere else. Take, for instance, I mentioned that in Plexus. I spoke to the guys, and I only did it really because they've got this product which is I've never heard of before, using West Coast synthesis with subtractive filtering as well. You either have just the West Coast synthesis, so you use waveform and so on to create the sound, and that gives you your brightness, darkness, and so on. Not filtering as well, and the solid components, built-in power supply, and sorry, I'm not selling it for them. I've got no thing in it, but that you can kind of understand. But with this, it just didn't seem like there was anything really unique about it. So, no, I don't think it's going to be entering my studio. No.
Well, I want to actually, Darren, hold your thought on that price question, because I think that's a good segue for the next thing. But guys, honestly, hold that up, because that is exactly what you can get for good money, all right? But also, my question is, what about that? That's got parameter lock, sequencing, all sorts of, they're pretty cheap as well, and they date back a long time. So there you go. Anyway, on the segue of price, isn't it interesting how we think something is expensive and then we all withdraw back? But isn't it funny when you get to something else that has an interesting price and you think it actually has the opposite effect. And what I'm referring to is Amazon have released guitar pedals. Jeffrey. If you're watching, send me the check. Make sure it's got 7 zeros in it. But anyway, part of the Amazon Basic Store, you can get a number of guitar effects pedals offering, for example, a booster, a compressor, a delay, a distortion, a looper, a tuner, and an overdrive. All of them are around about $24.99 US each. Wow, $24.99 each. You might as well say $25. I think the looper and the delay are $45. But he says, Jeff, you may not want to send that check just yet. Because if you go to the Amazon website and you look at the reviews, this was what someone sent in. He wasn't impressed. So what are we watching there? We're watching a guy show us that literally it's just a hiss pedal. All it does is give you hiss. And he definitely wasn't too happy with that, that's for sure.
I need some sort of white noise or sounds.
It was terrible. What we've actually found out is these are actually a Chinese company called Nu-X, N-U-X, who have been known for making actually reasonably solid pedals, if you're in the guitar world, for reasonable prices. I don't know if I would rush out and buy a Nu-X pedal, but apparently. But my question is, guys, for $25 US, can we hack them? Can we get them into Eurorack, or can we, like seriously, it's nothing. It's a bit of chump change, isn't it? A couple of cups of coffee. What do you think? Who wants to go first?
Oh, Behringer planning to do just that, though.
Behringer announced that they were going to make guitar pedals into Eurorack. That's what that was about. Yeah. They're already doing cheap pedals.
It makes sense.
That's Dr. Tone. I think they were about 30 quid.
Is that a Nu-X?
No, it's Dr. Tone. It's they're about 30 quid. And at the end of the day, I suppose you get, to a degree, going off the last item, you get what you pay for in some respect.
Yeah.
So you've got to be, if you're buying something like that sort of pedal at that price, you've got to be sort of knowing that it's not going to be out of this world. When I bought that Dr. Tone, I knew it wasn't going to be the best distortion pedal ever. Although it does distort, I must admit, in an odd way. So yeah, it's you've got to weigh up the price with what you're getting from both ends, from an expensive one like we've just had and a very cheap one like this Amazon pedal.
The opposite end of the spectrum to what we're talking about with the bass machine before, isn't it? So with this, you kind of almost feel like you need to go and wash your hands after you do the transaction. it's dirty money
for Amazon to do, though. Really, I'm a bit puzzled because Behringer themselves have a whole range of fairly cheap guitar pedals, you know, of all sort of types, you know, ranging from about 20 quid. I mean, that vintage phaser, we've talked about the vintage phaser before, cost me £22 off Amazon, and it's a pretty decent little pedal. It's never going to set the world on fire, but it's a decent enough little pedal. And there are lots of these things. Why is Amazon doing this other than to add more things onto the marketplace?
How much will it be second hand?
Flippin' tape, Darren.
You'd have to pay them to take it off your hands. Yeah. No, I think I'm glad I'm not a guitarist, because you see the picture of the size of the cables that go into it. I mean, standing up looking down, you'd need like binoculars to look down at which one you're gonna. Otherwise, it's just a random thing of which one you're gonna push down. But yeah, I think this is one of those things where guitar pedals, you really do have to pay the money really to get something decent connections. And I went through a period where I bought loads of pedals, and it stopped when I bought a Behringer chorus pedal, and it was this cheap yellow thing, like banana yellow, and I'd get a better chorus rubbing two sticks together than what that was creating. It was this weird thing. It's supposed to be stereo, but everything turned over to the left, and so yeah, I think you really do have to spend the money for decent pedals, and it's difficult when you've got so many plugins that you can get hold of, even things that are free to use in your studio. And I suppose, you know, if you're going to do it live, then you could even just get like a multi-effects pedal and use one of those. I did use one of those new X, was it, that you mentioned? I had one. It was one of these things where it was it only powered on when the cable was plugged in, but the problem is that connection wasn't great, so half the time it would just turn itself off. I think I'll pass on these Amazon one, thanks. Yeah, I don't.
Guys,
yeah.
It looked like the pedal was
You're not thinking
comment.
creative, guys. You're not thinking creative. Like that pedal's it's a noise source. We can use that as white, pink, brown. I don't know what it is, but we can send that through.
I did say that earlier. I could do some white noise.
Dear me. All right, we can
white noise machines.
We should move on. Okay, next segment. Press the button. Go. Yes, we have interesting things in this one. Maybe scams.
You're going to bring up those pedals again.
Were they in the wrong segment? Were they? Maybe scams. I don't know. Let's start with this one. Now, sometimes when you're watching these sort of groups on the internet, you've got to be really careful when you're reading, because I don't know about you guys, but who's going to rush out and buy a Korg Mini Brute? Nothing wrong with the price. The price is probably okay. This is Australian dollars, by the way. That's actually not bad for a Mini Brute, if I'm being honest. Half that, and that's how many pounds it is. But Korg Mini Brute
for a Mini Moog.
Are Korg doing clones now of the Archerias? Anyway, that was the first one. So you do have to be careful when you're watching stuff. The second one is this. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm actually not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it this way. This is someone flagged me in a post. I think it was on the ProSynth network. This is an auction, and here is a Russian-made electronic sort of modular sort of thing that used to be owned by Tangerine Dream.
Modular.
And we get down to the price down the bottom here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's actually it's further down here. 89 is it 89,950,000 pounds. If you
That's got to be a typo.
Really, it was written twice. Can't be a typo.
Yeah.
It's written twice. But if you're really
It's just
interested,
copied and pasted by mistake.
if you're really interested in Tangerine Dream, who actually owned it, apparently this is all Reggie Didge. So there you go. Now, what else have we got? We should go back to here. Third one down. Yes, this one. I thought this was quite funny. Behringer TD3 blotter pop up on acid rare LSD blotting paper, and you can see the little squares that you can tear them off. And Darren, you recognise the little smiley face TD3 there?
And
you can take that to the club, mate. It's only £20.
if there's any clubs open.
If there's any clubs open.
Well,
yeah.
true.
That's all right. It's going to cheap.
Oh, dear me. All right. I thought that one was interesting anyway. And the last one, I thought to myself, I've only got 3 to show today. And I was looking through my emails this afternoon. And lo and behold, eBay never fails. No. And you guys even mentioned it when we were talking before. There is a Moog pedal for £1,100, $2,200 Australian. Wow, that's getting expensive. And all it is just a bucket brigade delay. There is absolutely nothing majorly fantastic going on this thing for it to fetch that sort of price. In fact, we were talking in a Discord chat the other day about the fact that you can literally recreate these Moog pedals with Eurorack for very, very cheap. You don't have to get Moog. It's not like it's got a Moog sound. It's just a bucket brigade delay chip. It may have some holier than thou, holy grail bucket brigade delay chip that you can't get anymore in the world because they've stopped making it. Guys, you need to come back down to earth because a bucket brigade delay chip is still going to sound reasonably good no matter who makes it. Anyway, who's going to spend 2,200 Australian or 1,100 pounds on a Mogofoga? Hands up. Tell us in the chat if you're going to do that.
It's probably going to be the person who's got all the others except that one.
I don't
the delay
have that one.
is probably the one. No, it's what was it? There was the filter, the chorus. Sorry, go ahead, Andy.
Sorry, Jamie. I was just wondering if Moog are looking at the prices of these things on the second-hand market and scratching their chins, going, "Do you know, maybe we should stick these out at about 400 quid a throw again."
Well, they tried to.
People will buy them. People will.
They made mini versions of them.
Did they try? Well, I don't. People are hankering after them. People want them, don't they? I mean, that is a lot of money, but as Jamie rightly pointed out, there will be somebody out there who is prepared to pay that for that particular box. And I just wonder whether, yeah, exactly. You're sitting on a gold mine there, Ramsey. That's probably worth as much as your house. Just
you
that
can say
little
white
box.
edition.
I'm actually seriously thinking about selling my Mogofogas. Like, after seeing that today, I'm like, oh, that could buy me a Moog 1. I've got 4 Mogofogas here. I could buy a Moog 1 with it.
There you are. You are.
Sell 4 pedals, get a Moog 1.
Jamie will send you those.
Well, we made it through all the segments, people. What are the chatties saying? They are throwing their synths at the screen in disgust. Whoa, Robbie's there. How you going, Robbie? Yes, interesting. So the next segment we've got is the System 8. Now, where did I put that camera view? Where's that gone? All these buttons to press. I did show you guys this a little bit earlier. Now, I've got my PTZ camera set up for you guys so that we can pan and zoom and all sorts of cool things. Hopefully, it's not too hard to do, so I can go to show in a little bit closer to the modules. We can sort of move across.
Didn't you only have one of these recently, and somehow it's like Gremlins? They've just grown after midnight or something.
Yes. So 2 of them are used, and the rest are new. And someone told me the other day in a chat. No, this is not why I bought them, but someone told me in the chat the other day, Roland have discontinued these. You can't get them anymore. Absolute rubbish. If anyone's ever been told that, it's not true. You can still get them. They literally have these sitting in warehouses around the world waiting for someone to put an order through. A lot of the distributors or retail shops that sell these, they don't keep stock of them because it's not something that they move that often. So if you do want to get yourself into a System 500, which is basically a Roland System 100, and they're actually made by Meleco, which is another Eurorack manufacturer. So they're actually pretty good quality sort of modules. Anyway,
I didn't know it was that. Oh, right. That's really interesting.
Yeah, you can see the little Meleco symbol.
The little logo at the bottom.
See?
All right, I've got one of them. I never noticed it.
Yeah. So why did I get these when I've got the System 100 modules from Behringer? Here's a question that other people have probably want to ask me. Do they sound the same?
Because they're going to last longer?
Kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
In some cases, yeah. In some cases, no way. They are massively different in their user interface. So I'll tell you a couple of things. So the first thing, you can get a lot more modules from the Behringer side, but with the Roland, there's a couple of things the Roland does that the Behringer don't. And I think the first go-to module, if you're ever sort of, say for example, you wanted to get all the Behringer System 100 modules, and you thought the envelope was crap, throw the envelope in the bin from them and get the 540 from Roland. That is a beautiful envelope generating module. It's got 2 actually. It's got one on the top and one on the bottom. Let's see if we can get a better view of it for you guys there. So I'm going a little bit further away from the mic, so you might hear me as loud, but there's your first one across there and your second one. The good thing about it is they have this fast and slow switch up here. So you can get really, really snappy sounding envelopes. Let's do the demo of that. always get cussive sounding stuff. Do that, and then you can go to slow. So that's just the first kind of thing I would say that I really, really love about their modules. But I don't know, I kind of feel that's a really pleasantly looking design modular setup. One of the things I love about it is how, if you look across the top for the first 4 modules, all of the sliders and all of the pots and everything are all kind of lining up beautifully. It's just so pleasantly looking from afar. And if you've got modules below, like I've got the 572 below the 530, even they look nice when they're stacked above each other as well. It's quite a pleasantly looking setup. Now I've got 2 more coming, so they're not really like a massive thing that I need. One of them's a ring mod / a whole bunch of other things in it, called a 555. And another one that I'm getting is the it's the other variant of the filter, which they no longer make, so that one is actually hard to get. So the 521 is the filter module, which is here. It's a dual filter module, and the other one I'm getting is actually a dual filter module, but it's different again. So one of the things about the filter, which is different to the Behringer, is, let me get a better view of the filter. So you can see with these sliders here, they kind of have quite a long way to go. If you see that little mark where it says 5, if you get your filter to about there, that's probably what I would call normal behavior Roland type filter. And anything above it, it starts to overdrive the filter. And that's just basically inherent in the way it's been built. You can also feed it back into itself, of course, but just let's get that again. Let's turn that off. It's annoying me. Let's do it. Do that, now it's overdriving.
And that is how a synth should sound.
That is just beautiful. Now I've got envelope generator going into one of the modulation sources, and then I've got an LFO going into the second one. So that's why you're getting that. Almost sounds like Jamie's intro music.
Oh yeah, that was the Novation beat. That.
So what I want to do is, the whole purpose of this today is to give you guys a bit of a look. Whoever hasn't actually got something, I know, Jamie, you've got one of these, and a few of them. I started off with, which one did I? The 572, I think I started off with, and then I got the 521 because the 512, I should say, the oscillator, because the Behringer oscillator took forever to come out, and I just thought, no, I need an oscillator, so I was running the Roland one through the Behringer gear for a while, and then I actually fell in love with the Roland modules. Not that I don't like the Behringer ones either, because I do, but they're different, and I just really like for me, it's very intuitive, the interface on it. Now, I do want to go to the chatties and ask them what they want me to show, but the last thing I want to kind of show is this mixing module here on the right, 531, probably one of the most, I reckon, bang for buck modules you can get. If you have a whole bunch of eurorack gear and you want to do something where you're actually kind of stuck with just having a mono out with a lot of it, just from your VCA or just through the going straight into your mixer, this will give you the ability to kind of do a little bit of eurorack mixing, which I think is actually really, really handy. It's got the mute buttons, it's got 6 channels, the gains for each, plus you can pan each channel, and it's got stereo outs. If you add all that up together, and the actual interface is, it's really, really simple to use, and the fact that you've got both 3.5mm and 1/4 inch jack outputs, and it's got a microphone in preamp as well. So, or you can put something else like a guitar or something in there as well. That is really, really good value for, what is it, about 250 quid for that module. So if you don't need the sounds of the Roland, that's also a really, really handy utility type module you can get. I'm not trying to make money from Roland here because it's not paying me, but I'm just talking about it from a user point of view. Okay, guys, what do you guys want me to do with the System 500?
Can I just ask you, Ranzi, about that mixer module that you've just shown?
Yep.
So that module itself can act as a perfectly usable output module at line level. Those two sockets in the bottom right-hand corner are ordinary line level outputs.
Correct.
So you're getting a 6-channel panable stereo mixer, 200 and something quid.
Yep.
Because I mean, some of these input-output modules, these output modules on Eurorack can cost you that much anyway. I mean, I think the Rose is about 150 quid, and so
6-channel plus the mic one as well. So it's actually
exactly
7.
You're right. That makes it a perfectly good value piece of kit. What's that? Mr. Beast just said no. It's 389. That makes it a bit different. That's a bit more pricey,
they are that kind of price here in the UK. Yeah,
depending on how you get it, I guess it could be as high as that. That's kind of like full retail, that price. Yeah, but 250 is about the going rate.
They're not cheap modules. I know it's over 300 quid for getting the other filter, the one that's based on the SH5, I think it is. So it's but yeah, I've looked at that. I've got that's always the problem is, especially if you want to have stereo. Is the mixing part. I've got a Dofa mixer, which is their sort of like a basic stereo mixer 4 in 2 out or something like that. And I've also got like an Eric Synths one, which has got line level out jacks and they're balanced as well, because obviously it's higher voltage for Eurorack, and you got to bring it down to get to the outside world without noise and impedance issues and stuff. So it kind of helps with that. I'd love to get the Roland one. I know that Behringer, theirs has just dropped now in the UK. I think it's about £99 their version of that.
I've got that as well.
Yeah, I've nearly pressed the trigger on, but I had to send my VCO back to them, and I haven't heard anything back from that. So I might skip the Behringer stuff, I think, for a while and see how things go quality-wise. But then again, my case is pretty much all full up now. Not that one. My cases, they're all... I've got no more room, and I don't want to go and spend and buy any more. So I'm quite happy with what I've got and learn what I've got. The only things I did get was a Moleco voltage block.
Yeah, they're good.
Because I quite like their way of sequencing and so on. It's a way of sequencing that I don't think of. So, but yeah, I'm happy with what I've got. I don't think I'm going to buy any more.
I really, really like the Moleco logic, like the way, because I mean those Roland modules are Moleco modules. Let's not dance around it. The way that they've thought them through, that's so clever. Like that, I want to get that voltage block module as well. It's a really, really good module. Couple of points you mentioned, Jamie, that I thought I'd bring up. So I've got the Behringer mixer, the 135. Is that what it is? Something like that, isn't it? 305? 305. I think it's a 305. Double check anyway. It's different to this. It's got like a parametric EQ on there. There's a whole bunch of wankery on there that I probably would never use. Someone might use it. But yeah.
There's a little what on it, Ranzi?
Wankery. No. It's a technical term. You guys not heard of that?
Really? All right, just the mind boggles right now.
Well, what is it?
Imagine the kids in your school and
Triple
coming
B.
up to you and
Triple B. Have you heard that one?
Your lessons
Andy?
are full of wankery, Mr. Brooks. My lessons are full of wankery.
I want to get Andy's face when I say this. Andy, have you heard of Triple B?
Have I heard of Triple B?
Yeah.
No.
Bullshit baffles brains.
Oh, all right. Well, fair enough. I'm good at that, and I probably have many times.
So that's usually what I'm referring to when I talk about wankery on synth modules. Anyway,
Wanker.
So I've got...
It's a good job it's not Sonic Stage, or else that would be the show title, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they would rename it. So I do have that, and it's completely different to that Roland module. So yes, it does kind of similar stuff, but I just think that Roland one is so much better. It really is a nice one. Where's that close up view? There it is there.
Does it sound okay, the Behringer one?
Yeah.
Or is it noisy or whatever?
No, it's a couple of little hisses and kind of weird sort of clicks and stuff that you get through the different like modules. Because I've pretty much finished.
Like
I think
stuff in.
I think there's only one left to get that I need to get out of that Behringer suite of stuff. So I'm pretty much done. Yeah, there was a couple of issues with when you're unplugging things, you get sort of impedance clicks and hums and stuff. And it tends to come through that. The mixer's the one that's causing it, I think. So, because it back feeds through your modules, if that makes sense. It's kind of like feedbacking through. But yeah, I don't really want to kind of talk too much about Behringer if we can, because this is more about the Roland. Because they other than the fact that they're based on the same synthesizer, that's about as far as it goes, because they're completely different. One of the things that you'll notice is the Roland ones do not look anything like the original System 100 modules at all. They're a different color for a start. Their layout is different. People tell me, are they better build quality than Behringer? I don't think so. I think they're about the same. Some people may argue that the pots being larger than the pots on the Behringer, blah, 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 blah. I don't really care about that sort of stuff. To me, it all feels kind of similar, and I really don't want to even go down that path. I do like, the only thing I will say is I do like the fact that they have the 3.5 millimeter input jacks, sockets, I should say, with the little nuts around them. So they're faceplate mounted, and that just gives you that longevity, because you're going to be plugging and unplugging mechanically. I've mentioned this on previous videos. Mechanically plugging and unplugging Eurorack stuff is what you do all the time. You're literally, doing this all the time. So the Behringer ones are floating around in the breeze. They're not actually fixed to the front face panel, whereas they are. So they're going to last longer, technically. I don't know what you guys think about that. But, okay.
What's the LFO rates like on them?
Let's have a look. So, LFO, there's a couple of LFOs in here. Where can we go to? There's an LFO on the 572 down the bottom. Let's have a look at that. That's the LFO on the 572. Now there is another LFO. Where is it? Where is it? It's on the VCA? Yeah, this one. This one's got different waveforms. This LFO, you've got different waveforms, so you can do like a sine. So that VCA one is actually quite a nice LFO because you've got all those different waveforms, and you can also, modulate the frequency knob on the LFO as well, which is cool. So, because you can see the little CV freak. What's the better view of that?
Can you do that? Can you go the output LFO of your bottom module to the input of that LFO, and then try maybe a couple of different wave shapes?
All right. Let's do like a pulse at the start. Maybe that might be a gate. I don't know. I'm not seeing it doing anything there. Yeah, that's not really doing anything. So I might be doing something wrong. Someone can tell me in chat. Can I just quickly go to the chat?
It sounded like you were getting down.
It did? Okay, good.
Sounded up.
Good. Chatties, I think Sergio asked a little while ago, plug out of the System 100. What does it compare to that? I actually haven't tried it yet. I do have the System 1 with the System 100 plug out in it, so I should try it. But I guarantee you it won't sound the same, because this is all 100% analog. This will drift out of tune just like any old analog synth will. So plus all the modulation capabilities, you'll never ever get anything anywhere close on that plug out. But if you just kind of want to get that sound, the plug out is perfect for that. Okay, so what we got? Mark's thinks that he's bought them all this week. Geez, I hope it's not my fault. Now, a person that definitely has bought the System 500 recently is a guy called the Intergalactic Federation, who's in chat. Is Dazza from Down Under. You guys probably know Dazza. He's bought that module, and that's his first Eurorack adventure. So congratulations, Dazza, for buying your first bunch of modules. And I don't reckon you could have done worse, because my first modules were not System 500s. They were, I think, the Roland Scooper was my first module. I couldn't even use it. Had it sitting there in a box for about a year, unusable. Okay, guys, what do you want to do? What do you want to hear? A little bit more of the oscillators? You want to hear a bit more of the filter? Do you want me to make this filter squeal? What do you want to do? I'm here. I'm here to tweak.
It's entirely up to you. Do something that you want to do.
Let's keep an eye on the chats, guys, and I've got the headphones on so I can hear. All right, what can we do?
What about going separate voices, separate oscillator types into that? I want to hear the panning of the mixer.
Okay. Yeah.
You got there before me, Jamie. I was going to ask about that.
Sorry, mate.
That's
Sorry, mate.
No, that's.
Now we've got.
I was just sitting there thinking, I had a question and I've forgotten what it is, and that was it. Putting the different waveforms into the different channels and panning them in different places, seeing what it sounded like.
Internet's great.
See, that's your modular knowledge.
I really don't have a lot of modular knowledge at all. I know some of the right buzzwords just to get by.
Now, for me to pan, I would have to get another audio input into my mixer there, which I can do. Just give me a sec. Guys, talk amongst yourselves. Jamie,
it sounds so much better when it's stereo. Definitely.
Tell us about your new patches, just while I get the cable set up.
Oh, right. Prologue. Yes, I released last week another 100 patches for the Prologue, and I'd done a bank for it previously. Shortly after I bought it, and it was with the 8 voice actually. I bought that one because it's the only one that the store had. AC Hamilton up in Preston, which, funny enough, is like a kind of organ type store. But anyway, I got that and made some sounds and did a bank, and then I sold that, got 16 voice. It was just on the shelf really for a long while, and I was thinking about just selling it, but I thought, you know what, I've got another bank in me to do in there. So I made all 100 patches, use both layers. So it's double the work for me, but I just wanted to hear what it sort of sounded like. So there's the typical things with pads with harps going over the top and that type of thing to try and get as much out of it, a movement as possible, because of the restricted amount of modulation with the single LFO and only one destination. So using 2 layers, you can trick the mind a little bit that it's doing more than what it is. So they were released. And now, like I say, I've just been going around sampling everything, sampling oscillators, and it's all been on for this Prophet X that I've had just on the side for a while. I bought it off eBay about a year ago, I think, maybe even longer actually. And I've just been sampling stuff. So making. But also using some of their own things that are built in here as well. And that's all I've been sort of really doing, is trying to make this sound okay so I can bank for it. That's about it. Is that enough time for you, Ant?
Sorry, I had myself muted. Thanks, Jamie. It may be. Let's just. I'm still kind of plugging things in, but let's see how I go. I've got 2 out on the mixer anyway. That's the start. Now we just need to get the oscillators in. Now, is that firing?
That's coming through wider.
Now, what I would need to do on these is I would need to pan these on my mixer. So, the first thing I would need to do is make that channel there go to the left, and that channel there go to the right.
Oh, no. Everything's still. There we go. Yes, that's better.
Out. Wow, I'm getting some sort of distortion across happening. I probably need to kind of see what I've done wrong there, but you can definitely hear the panning anyway, can't you?
Yeah, no, definitely. No, it's I had a couple, like I say, I've got the Eric synths and the dope for one, so I'm going from one into another, which isn't an ideal thing, and it's taken up probably just as much, maybe even more space than that. So I might get one of those and take those ones out. I don't really need them, I don't think.
Now I can show you something. Okay, so one thing I want to show you guys is see the expert sleeper modules on the bottom right. I've got 2 expert sleeper modules in that rack, but the bottom right one is the MIDI to CV one that I've got. That's actually coming out of the MPC live, literally via USB. So that comes up as an FH2 in my MPC screen, and if you guys are ever wondering what should I use for MIDI to CV, what's good, and everyone's going, oh, just get a Beat Step Pro, or just get a Key Step, or just get a Key Step Pro, or just the Behringer synths have got MIDI to CV in them. Just use one of the keyboards like the MS-101 or the MS-1 of you. All of them tend to sort of, in my opinion, not do it well. There's voltage irregularities on octaves with MIDI to CV. I've always found they go out of tune a lot more. This module has been absolutely rock solid. So I'm really, really impressed. It does a lot more than MIDI to CV as well, mind you. But like, for example, you can map different MIDI parameters to each of those output ports. As 1 to 8 there. You can map velocity, aftertouch, CC, anything to it. So it's crazy. But just for basics, you've got gate and pitch coming out, and nice. And you do polyphonic as well. I think there's an expansion modules you can get for it. So just out of that, it just makes life beautiful for me. So I can just sequence now straight in out of the MPC Live into my eurorack. And anyway, what I was going to show you is this little baby down the bottom here, the 572. Notice that little section down the bottom, gate delay. And you've got an in and out. One of the cool things you can do with this is if you've got a sequence coming out, so like I do of the whole, this is a better view. So coming out of the expert sleepers, I've got a sequence coming out, there's a gate and a CV. So you can take the gate and then you can mult the gate into one gate delay, and then the other one can go straight into your envelope generator, should I say, which is 540. Then you can bring the gate delay back into the second envelope generator, and then you'll end up with possibility, because you've got panning on that mixing module, you can now do things like ping pong delays with literally using two oscillators with that gate delay. That's pretty cool to do. So just by going into there, coming out, where's a better example? I need my camera control. If I go, so see on the expert sleepers, the output number 2, I think is gate, and I've got it as a tip top, so I can stack something into that. So do you guys want me to try that to show you what it's like?
Yeah, go for it.
Because we've got the panning happening, and we should be able to do it. I'm trying to get this thing to work properly. There we go. All right. Wish me luck. Okay, so is my audio coming through okay?
Yeah,
you guys
fine.
Can hear me? Good. All right, let's use this yellow cable here. All right, and so that's the gate. We start doing the sequence on this. There's that MPC crash.
Well, you do that. That's one good thing about your MPC-1, Andy, is that you've got the CV outs built into it. There's the 4 sockets, but each one is can be used for 2 different signals. And I've been messing with that recently, using when you select CV on one of the tracks, and it gives you options for CV1, CV2, and one is the CV and can be used for pitch, and the other one is for gate. So that's one of the great things about another great thing about that MPC-1.
Yeah. Now I'm just waiting for my MPC to boot up, so it's decided to go to sleep on me. Always the way, isn't it? Okay. Now we want it to go. To go out of that and into, I think it's this one. External, yeah, this one, yeah. Take that out. that kind of gives you an idea of how that would work. So you could definitely hear that second gate sort of delayed. Does that make sense? So it literally, it was delaying, it was holding onto the gate signal and then sending it off, and you've got those controls to actually change how long it delays for. Probably a little bit more mucking around with envelopes and stuff to get it sounding a bit more snappy, and you'd hear it probably better, but that just gives you an idea anyway. So having that mixer and having those panned and then having those, you know, little tricks like the gates and stuff, good fun. Really, really good fun. You can do some really, really interesting things with it. So yeah, it's kind of interesting learning what all these little sort of things do, isn't it? You know, you kind of, I've never really heard some of these terms like, what's the difference between a delay and a gate delay? Well, kind of, it's, you know, a gate delay is actually literally a delay for the gate, and the delay above is actually a bucket brigade type delay, like you would expect. So there's a phaser on that as well. Yeah, what else do we want to do? Anything else? What are the chatties asking? It's hard for me to keep an eye on the chat. One thing I noticed, there was definitely just, do you guys hear the overdrive and distortion in that?
There was a bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the sound you've got pan right. Can you pan that in the middle? And then your other sound, stick an LFO into the pan of that sound so we can have it going left and right. The sound you currently got pan hard left. So you'd go an LFO out to the CV in of that pan, and then the sound that you got to the right, just center it. Okay. Just curious to see it here, what that sound moving around.
Back of my head there.
It's only because I'm trying to convince myself now to buy one of those mixer modules.
I'm going to LFO that. See if that works. Go back to this.
Center to the right.
Try the other one. Oh, that's interesting. It's getting kind of like this. Like an after effect where you can hear it just kind of disappearing off to the right. It's interesting. Yeah. Trying to get rid of that distortion. I don't know where it's coming. I reckon I've got it mixed up with the VCA here. Let's just take that second one out for a sec. Yeah, it seems to be going from left to right. Let's try it if we go all the way left. And I'm wondering if it's because I've mucked around with the mixer up here, if I've got them wrong. Let's take that out for a sec. That LFO down the bottom tends to feel like it's a bit weak. I wonder if this one might be a bit stronger. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. And then my brain's kind of working now thinking, with that LFO going left and right at that speed, slap another LFO into the rate of that LFO to slow and speed it up down. That's some of my usual tricks I use for sound design. You get when it goes left to right, go whoa, 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 whoa. It sort of does the whoa, 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 whoa. Speeds up like a bouncing ball type thing.
Yep, got some more cables here. Talk about convoluted patches, people. So you want to use this LFO here into this one. Slow this one down.
But if the one it's going into, if you slow that one down and then you speed it, then mess with the rate of the other one.
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, there we go. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I suppose this is where you mess with mults to get copies of that LFO signal to then whack out over to the filter and maybe over to oscillator sync, so they're all using the same LFO rate.
All right, now there's no stereo delay on my mixer. That's literally just that effect that you just did. So if I did a sequence, now I've got a stereo effect happening on it. There you go. Good fun. God, you could have fun with this stuff. Thing is, like, I reckon, you know, just me mucking around on these modules, I'm almost tempted just to do videos on this, just while I'm mucking around. It's so much fun. And you can just see how intuitive that the layout of those Roland modules are. It's like I'm still learning it. I've only had them for some of them only for a few days. Some of them I've had them for ages. But just learning kind of what works well is good. And Jamie, definitely, if you haven't got that envelope generator, get yourself that. You'll love it. I know what you like with envelope generators. So they're probably,
them, yeah.
Think of a bunch of alligators snapping at you. They are as snappy as envelopes. You know.
Now, one of the most
awesome.
interesting topics in the chat has actually been your cables there, Rans, and particularly the purple ones. So I'm gonna hold those up there for Darren and say, look, see, I've got a handful here. Look, of these purple braided cables that came in this lovely bag with my Arturia BeatStep Pro. Loads of them. So I've got loads of these lovely braided purple cables. Eight of them. There you go. So he's gonna trash it now because he didn't get any.
Hang on. Darren, wait. Full screen.
Too late, it's gone.
Jump up and down on
space there. BeatStep Pro. BeatStep Pro, gone.
You got more space for a bigger case now.
There you go.
I'll
do you a favour there, Aaron.
It just so happens that's one buy that I've got. I'm waiting for today from Amazon. I've got those cables, and they're all, no matter how nice that you put them over something, they always fall down everywhere. And it looks just like spaghetti. So I finally forked out £15 for one of those cable holders that look like a rake.
Yeah,
you know, for getting the lead.
Yeah, I've got one there too.
And I hate spending money on things.
So you stop whinging about your cables, Darren.
Yeah.
Hey, no, it's the same thing that cool. Jamie's getting, a rake.
I want to give these guys a plug. So this is a new company that's opened up in Australia.
Was that a joke?
This is actually true. This is actually true.
Synth cable supply.
Cable. Yeah, I'll get your joke now, Jamie. So they literally just do like Eurorack cables and things related around that sort of thing. So you can get knurls and things like that from there, which I think is really, really cool. Anyway, those purple cables, if you're wondering, they actually were given to me by a guy that you guys would have seen in the chat. His name's Scott. He's from Australia as well. He sent them to me during lockdown, And a massive big thank you to you, Scott, if you're watching this on the replay. I know you're not in here at the moment, but his mother's just recently died. Like, a whole bunch of stuff's gone on in his life, and he still has the heart to do stuff like that to me. And the only reason why he gave them to me is because he hates purple. He hates purple. So I said, I'll have them. And he just sent them to me. So, and you can see they look okay. I mean, like, some people absolutely can't stand purple, but they look all right. Look, there's 3 different types of cables there, and I don't really... I mean, I know, Jamie, you like to color code your cables and stuff, but I haven't had that luxury to sort of... I've bought my cables quite haphazardly. So some of them are braided, some of them are nylon, kind of very rubbery. Like these ones here. They're very springy and rubbery, which I actually like, because you can... They're kind of... They'll sit. Whereas these purple ones that we're talking about, these quite thin. They're still braided though. And these are the other ones. I wish I could get more of these. These were my favourite cables. These are nice braided cable, and they're really, really like high quality thickness. So they're probably my favourite. And then also the tip-top stackables are good as well. So there you go.
I've got these just braided ones. Red and yellow. Red for CV, yellow for audio, and that's it.
Yeah.
It seems to work. Then at a glance, you can, well, kind of see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is making it push it along and see what happens if I plug it in there, and my light's going to go out. So.
What's this guy?
What's Darren found?
Well, I got the mutable instrument ones, all braided.
Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Cause cable fetish or what?
And the bag's nice as well, even if I didn't get me purple ones.
I can't remember the name of those braided ones, the thicker braided ones I've got. They were like, I don't know, not dope for Pittsburgh Audio, I think. Pittsburgh Modular. I think they were, anyway. It starts with an N, but I can't remember the name of it. And people in the chat will remember it, what they're called.
Oh. Someone's at it might be my thing from Amazon. Sorry. Gone in a minute.
Get your Amazon thing.
Try.
Okay, so where are we at with this? With this.
Excuse me.
What else do you guys want me to do? I know. What about oscillator sync? Should we do that? Andy, you like that? A bit of oscillator sync?
Why not?
Okay.
Has it got a hard and soft sync?
It's got a hard and soft sync, so you can see. Let me just zoom in for you.
Because that soft sync can sound really weird. Yeah.
We can't hear it. Probably because I've turned that off. There we go. Oh, we're going to keep that effect, shall we? Now we're going to need... Should probably get rid of that effect now. And where's my other effect? Get rid of that. Bring that back into the same VCA. Right, now, sync, baby, sync. So we're going to go out of this oscillator and into this oscillator. Right, now I can't hear anything. What is that?
That's it. Sweet bitch.
Now we need to get the LFO happening on this baby. All right, so on the pitch, I guess. Ooh, I wouldn't mind mind that LFO restarting every time I hit it. That'd be good. So it would be a keyboard trigger. It's a bit crazy, isn't it? We'll take that out for a sec. I'm wondering if we can use the LFO on these. There we go. Wow. So you'll notice then that the filter just boosted up. It's got the old-fashioned problem with filters. When you muck around with the resonance, you'll get more, like a drop in the bass frequencies and that. So this suffers from that, which is why I want to get the other. There's another module you can get that doesn't do that. So there's two. One's a traditional sort, which a lot of people like, and there's the other one which doesn't. It's got the boost on the lower. I think it's the lower end. Is that right, Jamie? The lower end boosts? Forget which one it is. So it maintains.
Well, you lose. Yeah. The one that's based on the SH5. Yeah. It won't. Low end won't disappear because of the resonance being added. But I mentioned earlier about that kind of the cable holder. You know what they look like, don't you? Well, this is the box. It's coming. Look at the size of that thing.
Wow, massive.
Just for a rate.
And when you open it, Jamie, there's tons of airbags in there.
Chinese fart pillows.
Some right old corkers coming from you today, right? I bet it should. I should have gone with, because the Erica Synths one, or what it was, they were like 28 quid for just a bit of metal, and so I went with the cheap option. I'll spend thousands on synths, but when it comes to little things like a cable holder, I'm a right penny pinch.
What does the Erica Synths do that one doesn't?
It's made by Erica.
It's just that.
It's no Chinese fart pillows in there. It's just paper.
All that box just for that.
Wow. It is nice though.
Well, perhaps those were the only boxes they'd got at the time, Jamie.
I searched Eurorack, and this is one thing that came up. But it might be there's so many you can get these cable holders for any type of cable. So the heads might not be big enough. It'd be great, wouldn't it? Put it up and put the cables on. They all just go fall through.
You put little rubber bands around the knobs.
You can't sell one.
You could make your own mark. Absolutely.
Yeah, there is bigger ones, but yeah, here's the tester, isn't it? Really, God, riveting TV.
It works.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! No longer to be on the floor. Now I've just got to find somewhere to screw it in.
Oh dear. I've got to order some more cables. It's the end of the Eurorack world, isn't it? Ordering cables. What was I going to say? I was going to say something about the Argon 8. So, Jamie, have you done any patches for the Argon 8 yet?
Not released any. I've done patches for them. I just haven't released them yet. I haven't finished them. I always do banks of either 100 or 128 sounds. I don't do like mini banks or anything like that. So I think I did about 20 or so patches. And what I tend to do, the first 20 usually tend to turn out, they're my learning thing.
Yeah.
They're not, exactly the best work of my work. So I use those, and then I'll come back to them, or maybe delete them and do something else. So it's all right. It's an alright thing. Yeah, it's a weird. I was just working on other things. I did have actually. I had a Super 6, and the first one had a bit of a fault on it, so I got it exchanged. But I took it back. I wasn't really keen on it, so hence why I sort of jumped on this Prophet X. But I think I might get that other one. I've got so much to work on at the moment. I want to do. I did a bank for Novation, but they haven't released it yet for the Summit. So I did that quite a while ago, actually. That was 64 patches. That's all they wanted. But I want to do a bank for that and a few other things. So yeah, that's my kind of thing. But I do fancy that Cobalt one. It sounds good.
Oh,
what's going on here? And you're muted as well.
Sorry about that.
You haven't been blocked because of all the wankery, have you?
All the wankery, yeah. No, it's like a what do you call it? Ad blocker, so you don't have to watch ads on YouTube.
Oh, right.
I can't seem to get it to work for some reason. Here we go. Here we go. So, Jamie, the latest is the Prologue, isn't it? This one here.
It is, yeah. If you sort of scroll down a little bit more to the bottom of that, you'll see that show more, and you'll see all the other ones I've done. Click that, it just opens up a whole load of other ones, volume ones, but there's also in the list as well. I need to really sort out this website. There's too much stuff going on there. Quite a lot of products.
Yeah, awesome.
And still, I don't have a synth.
You are sorry?
And still, I don't have a synth that you do patches for.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you never know. I did do. Have you got Diva? No, I did soft synths. I did Diva. I even did.
No, I've got Omnisphere. I'm waiting for your Omnisphere ones.
There's the Diva there. The Orion.
Yeah, I think. I teamed up with Marshall Arnold and Aaron Russell, and we did a bank together. 140 patches, I think, something like that. And
the Gaia too.
And then
wow.
I never did that one. That's from Pure Ambient Drone. He asked me to, he was going to do. He's done a bank, and obviously I've got a bit more of a kind of reach in terms of customers for sound design. So he asked me to whatever. So we did a bit of a deal and put those on. So I'll be doing a lot.
That's good of you, Jamie.
Well,
I'll chat to him every now and again. Some people don't, might not be keen because it's, them, you know what it's like. But he's a nice bloke.
Oh, he's on my friends list on Facebook.
Yeah,
I talked to him as well. He's good. James, his name is.
Yeah.
Mutable instruments. Why is Dazza telling me about mutable instruments? I don't know. He's flagging my name. Can you make some presets?
Make presets for the System 500.
You can't preset.
Get your camera out.
Yeah, you got to take a photo of your patch. Which is why I bought. I'll be honest. That's exactly the reason why I bought this, the Akai Force. So literally, basic patches. I'm happy with the way it sounds. The sequence is cool, and then I'll just literally make a quick clip out of it, and then it doesn't matter after that. I've got the sound stored as a clip or a sample. So
some people have been using. Do you know that open source editor controller? They've been making panels just for things like the Behringer ones and that, where it just stores the settings. It doesn't obviously send any, but you can get all the knobs and those at the exact right positions, save, then do another patch. And so it's a bit, I suppose, more accurate than using a camera. But that's something maybe people can check it out. Controller, CTLR, I think it is.
There's also a eurorack module which does semi CV.
Yeah, polyend.
Yeah, the polyend one. It remembers your CV voltage, and you can actually save as presets.
Mentioned that.
The only problem with it is it's kind of a bit convoluted. Like, so for example, if you're looking at these sort of panels,
I think it's called polyend preset.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. So if you move any of those sliders on that, it's not going to remember that sort of stuff. The only thing it will remember is any voltage going in or voltage going out, I guess, kind of that sort of style of things. So it's not really the answer. And to be honest, I kind of don't really want Eurorack to go down that route. I don't want it to. I want it to stay. I want it to stay sort of patchable. That's the whole point of it. Just that real rawness of it.
It's sort of more for live play, I think, so that you can like save lots of different presets on your oscillators, everything else basically what you're doing. So when you're playing live, you can just switch between them straight away. Yeah.
Did you? I mean, obviously, if you guys ever saw Keith Emerson or someone like that playing live in the old days, you would have seen him. Like he had stuff set up, and he would go. He didn't really do a lot of. He didn't need to. He just kind of had it set up, and so he'd go to that, and that was the patch for that particular sound. He'd go to that something else for something else. That's kind of what they did. So it was an expensive way of doing it, I guess. So
that's why Rick Wakeman had 4 mini Moogs on stage and 2 Mellotrons, and so that they could do precisely that. Just turn around and move to this one, and that's got a different setup. So, but
Native VS is saying in chat that Keith Emerson had preset controllers for his modular, for his .com. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
.com. You heretic, Ramsey! How dare you even suggest that?
I'm on fire today.
Well, you will be for a heretic. We'll take you to a steak.
Yeah, Lisa's got it right. This is the reality. My Neutron has the same patch for 3 months. Yeah, that's so me. I'll make a patch and it sounds great, and he just stays on there. That's the reality.
Mind you, though, like Andy said many times about the Pro One, like once you know a synth, if you've used it for many years and used it, it doesn't take long for you to get an analog synth that doesn't have patch storage in it to the point where you're used to that sound. So you just dial a couple of knobs in, bang, it's there. It's not that bad.
Well, I long for the day. Okay, I know that the Pro One is actually relatively simple. Well, I long for the day when that kind of muscle memory, because it is muscle memory, that I have that for other things. Which I mean, okay, I've had this Supernova for 20 years, and I don't have the muscle memory for that. I can't suddenly go, right, I need to assign an LFO to get vibrato and do it easy. I have to seriously think about what the routings are, and I absolutely can't. Well, I'd love to have it for the Akai. It'll take me a long time. It's about learning the machine. Okay, okay, the Pro One, it's a 2 oscillator synth. It's not exactly all that complicated. But yeah, I can just almost without even knowing, I can sort of almost set the dials and know what the sound's going to be when it comes out just from looking at it.
Yeah.
I get a few people asking me to. Yeah, I get a few people asking me about sound design, teach them, do one-to-one lessons. But for a lot of them, what they're really asking for is teaching them how to use a particular synth rather than because my process for making sound design works on any subtractive synth. It doesn't have to, but it's more in the case of understanding how to operate the machine rather than doing sound design. So I don't really do that. It takes there a lot of synths, especially digital controlled, like you've got with your Supernova, your digital one. There's so many parameters, you're not going to remember them all, and you don't have to use them all either to make good sounds. Right? So you just need to process down for starting with your oscillators and then moving through to the mixer and then into your envelopes and not touching the filter cut off straight away and leave that as I always leave it as a little taster at the end. For my sort of design, as I mentioned, it's all in the filter envelope for me. But once you've got that process nailed down, the rest of it is all just bells and whistles to mess around with.
I tell you
I'm
what,
simplifying it a little bit.
Tell you what, speaking of filter envelopes, and I don't know how many times I've probably said the same thing over and over again, so I do apologize if I'm starting to sound like a broken record. But speaking of filter envelopes, you need to get yourself the maths module if you're into filter envelopes. That is literally like the Rolls Royce of filter envelopes. So, yeah. If you haven't got
it
one of them...
It doesn't immediately stand out as being a filter envelope, though, when I look at it. I'm sure it is. But when I first look at it, I think maths and everything, and I think, no, it's just some strange, mad, crazy LFO goes bonkers.
Yeah.
It's... Well, I suppose it's different in the sort of Eurorack world.
So some of those early videos that I did on the System 100 modules when they first started coming in to me, I used, because I didn't have the EG module at the start, I used the maths to do a lot of the stuff on that. So I think the filter video I used and it sounded incredible. So just maths going into the Behringer filter module. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like...
I haven't got any more room anyway, so. But no, I think I'm quite visual. I prefer sliders than for the envelopes. Just quickly,
musical instrument stages.
Well, I'm looking more at the Meleco.
If you want to get some,
yeah, I'm looking at the Meleco because do you know what it's like? You sort of, when you first get into something, you like a particular brand and you stick with it, whether you know if you should or not. I'm a kind of a little bit like that, but yeah, I might look at those. I don't suppose I know enough about the Eurorack world to know exactly what I've got, because all I've done is just recreate monosynths for $3,500 or whatever.
I'll use this camera angle. But it's actually...
See, immediately, that doesn't say ADSR to me, apart from maybe the 4 knobs in the middle. But, it's...
That's a tap.
It doesn't strike me as that.
And that's kind of decay, I guess. No, that's kind of release, sorry. And then you've got this exponential linear curve thing here. And then in the middle, your attenuator. So... It's really like 2 major envelope controllers, and it's got 2 minor. So you'd only really touch the attenuator on those 2, and those knobs. So it's like snapped in half. You've got repeat on both sides. Once you get your head around it, you'll actually realize it's actually pretty simple to use. And then you've got a whole bunch of other functions you can do with it. But it's just really, really nice. Like, it's pure analog, so I love it. It's just really, really good. But like I said, get the where did that remote control go? It fell down before. Get the Behringer, the Meleco 540. Beautiful module. And I've only just got that too. So, oh, damn it, my remote control's got. There we go. Right underneath my chair. Sorry for the camera, so I can use it.
So, Andy, what have you been doing with your MPC? How far have you got with it?
Learning it. I mean, one of the things I was wanting to do this week was actually to start learning the sampling thing, and I just haven't got there yet, because I just haven't got me head into the other, what I think of as the basics, like assigning sounds to pads and building. So I've created a few little sort of grooves and rhythms and stuff with the preset kits and the preset sounds, and I've gone into the synth and played about with the synth and things like that. But every time I sit down at the minute, I feel like I'm going, oh, what do I have to do again? I've not got to the stage where it's coming naturally as a flow. I haven't created anything of any note yet at all. I mean, I'm just, it's a bigger learning curve than I was expecting it to be, without a doubt. I thought I'd sit down, turn it on, and start being able to. It hasn't been like that. Now, people did say, the Akai workflow is takes a bit of learning and getting used to, which I accept, and I also accept that I'm perhaps not as quick as I once was at picking things up, which is a bit of a frustration.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah, I have that problem too.
So,
well, I had to lie,
I've made.
And sorry, I had to lie, and then I sold it because I couldn't quite get into it. And the one is a little bit better because there's more knobs on it, and I prefer the layout of it. But I will admit, I'm still struggling a bit with that, and it's nothing to do with the machine. It's just me, So, thing is with me, I don't like wasting lots of time because I could be doing something else that would be more productive, and I'd feel better at the end of it.
Yeah, it's also your livelihood.
Exactly.
It's not my livelihood, and if I get to the point where I'm feeling very frustrated and that why won't this, I just go, bugger you, and get up and go and make myself an omelette or something without feeling guilty about it. I feel guilty.
Omelette break.
Omelette break. I feel slightly guilty that I've spent that money. I've made the financial commitment, and at the moment, it's not bringing me the rewards that I hoped it would. But again, I'm not blaming the box. I refuse to blame the box because I sit there and I've watched loads of videos on YouTube of people doing amazing things with it. So it's not the machine, it's the user, and the user has to overcome his particular difficulties with it, and he will. It just might take him longer than he was intending to. So, just no. ASIO Head just said buyer's remorse. No, it's not. It's not buyer's remorse.
No, it's not buyer's
just
remorse.
Understanding that I'm not as young as I once was, and I've said before, like there's been a whole march in technology from when I was originally doing loads of music. Had a big chunk of time out, and I've come back into it, and I've got to relearn stuff, and that's what I'm actually going through now. This is me learning a new system. I have to say that I took to the Electribes, no trouble. I got on with them really great, really quickly, in an afternoon. I was getting stuff out of those quickly and happily. This has not happened with the Akai, and that's a bit of a disappointment to me. But again, I just think I have to keep persevering. And one day, people talk about the electrons, the electron equipment that you've got to learn it, and then one day the light bulb will come on and it'll all fall into place.
It will.
That's what I'm hoping.
No,
that one day I'll suddenly go, oh yeah, okay, got it. It's all there. But
I mean, it's just words for me, so it really doesn't make any difference. But
it's a step at a time. Yeah.
I think I don't know if you remember, Andy, but I told you that I've had my MPC live for about 3 years, and it did take me a long time before it kind of started to. And I used to have an MPC 1000 before as well. So it did take me a long time to sort of get used to it. I guess is the thing. Get used to the way it wanted to behave, but also I needed to be able to outsmart it. Does that make sense? So I needed to go. Well, I want to do this.
Well, quite.
But you're making me do it this way.
I want to be able to impose.
Yeah, it needed to work with me.
I want. I mean, it's stuff full of great sounds. There's no doubt that it's stuff full of great sounds. But part of me really doesn't want to use those.
I don't touch them.
Because I want my own stuff in there. But this is where it will become the learning curve, as we say, and if it does take a year, so be it. I mean, I've got other things I can be making noises with. It's not the be all and end all. But I think, I've just got to be more dedicated with it, and that's easy to say, and not necessarily easy to do when there's other things that need doing, like washing up or
making omelets,
going to the supermarket or making omelets. Yeah,
I'm like with you, Andy, and with you, Jamie.
I don't know. Like me. I think I would probably just park the sounds off to the side. Like, I don't know, they always came across as a bit cheesy to me anyway. You've got your own unique sound. You've got a whole bunch of cool gear there anyway. So what I would do is learn how to use the sampler, learn how to then turn that into key groups so that you can actually play it chromatically and all that sort of cool stuff. And then on the other side of it, learn how to use the sequencer. So then literally all you're doing is just, making that little SH01 go for you, or your Pro 1, or just learn how to use them. I mean, like what I was doing before with the System 500, that was the MPC sequencing it. So the quicker you can get on top of that, I think the more you'll like it.
Yeah, true, right. That's next week's evening's project sorted.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have to do it. I said to Mr. Mack in the chat earlier on, I said, I need a different approach. I thought I was going to sit down and plough my way through the manual, and it's at the moment, it's not working the way I intended it to. So I think you're right. Rather than trying to try a different approach, so I will try those. I mean, Inky's just said Skype her anytime I want to, and she'll hit me up on little tips and tricks, and she's already done that for me once already. Particularly, it was such a head scratch to even get the bloody thing updated to 2.8. I was like, why won't this work? Well, I got there in the end, but yeah. Anyway, thank you for that. I feel like I've been nagged almost. Well, keep nagging. I've told the Inverted Popes to keep nagging me too. So
yeah,
bully me.
You mentioned you mentioned the Electron stuff. Like you guys know, I'm actually probably in a rare sort of situation where I've actually owned Electron gear for a long time. I've had the A4 since probably 2014, and I got the Octatrack Mark II probably about two years ago. So you guys are probably going to feel this is a bit weird to say, but I actually think hands down the Octatrack is probably the best drum machine I have ever used in terms of getting sounds out of it and sequencing. It's really, 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 really good. And you'll probably think, well, Octatrack isn't a drum machine. Well, yeah, it's a sampler, but I use it purely really as a sample, like drum sample player. That's what I use it for. I don't really use it to its full capacity and full abilities like a lot of you see those videos you see on YouTube, and I could never ever get to that sort of level with it. But in terms of so simple, just to sort of paste down a beautiful drum track on there, it's really, really intuitive for that. Probably, arguably, easier than the MPC if you know how to use it, because of the way Electron have made it so that it's really just muscle memory button presses. It's really, that's how they've forced you to do it. It's a bit like not having a manual in a way. It does have a manual, of course, but so having said that, on the other side, the MPC is also an extremely good drum machine as well, and you've got the finger padding type sort of it's typical R&B type beats that you can get on it as well. I don't do that, so I've done it. I mucked around with it, but I don't use the MPC like you see those R&B guys, finger tapping the pads and doing beats. I'm not really. I know that's what the MPC is probably its prime use for, but I actually don't. I'm finding myself using the pads for other things like launching clips and muting MIDI tracks and things. It's just kind of, that's just me. I do things a bit weirder, but that's just like I said before. I like it to work the way I want it to work, and I've got to work out how to get it to do what I want it to do the way I work. And then once I can get that to happen, I'm feeling a lot more happy about the machine, and that's why it stayed here, because I finally worked out. Oh, this is good. This is doing what I want it to do.
Yeah, I've just got to keep on keeping on, and eventually one day it will sort of, I'll feel like I am in control of it rather than the other way around. And but because it is deep, there's so much in it. I mean, I was having just to flick through the list of you tip the instruments button and there's a list and 1,001 different effects processors, and it's like, oh my god, there's a ducking filtered gate. What the fucking hell's a ducking filtered gate? I mean, all these. I didn't even know what half of these things were. You know, and it was like, oh, all right, okay. I mean, these are things that you're gonna have to explore, because you think, you know, I remember spending a long time learning how to use my Oasis compressor, how to tweak the knob so that actually, oh yeah, I can hear it, it's doing it now. Yeah, it's quite a long time of actual experimenting with a hardware knob that was simply a compressor. And this box up here, it's got hundreds of the bloody things stuffed in there, and I think I'll never get through all of that. I'll never get through all of that. But it's the sheer depth that is in itself slightly intimidating. And I've got to get beyond that and just think, it's a drum machine and a sequencer and a sampler. You know what drum machines do. You know what sequencers do.
It shouldn't be intimidating.
Do.
Yeah.
Cool.
It
shouldn't be. But
no.
every time I sit behind it, I think,
right,
bugger, what are you going to throw at me today?
If they had on there, like they've got all the demos and that, if they had it's like start here, and it's like a real-time kind of tutorial, and then step 2, and so you're actually forced to use all the functions, and it shows you. It's like that'd probably work out better. But
the manual's a little bit like that, and Inky's put me onto a couple of YouTubers who've done that sort of thing, and I found one or two others of my own. There's and you can sit and you can watch them, and they make it look dead easy, and then you go and sit behind the box and go, now what did they do again? Where is it? And that's just becoming familiar. So anyway, enough of my MPC trials and tribulations.
As I said before,
I will get there.
Try not to do what other people do, because they're good at it. Try to do something that you want to achieve yourself.
They're also doing their thing and making it do what they want it to do, and that's
where it's going to come undone for you. Yeah, I agree. Like I've watched, in the early days, I watched a few of those MPC videos as well, and I just looked at them and went, "But I hate that music that you're making. Nothing against your ability; you're a great musician, but I can't stand that music. I don't listen to it. B, I don't even want to do that. I know the MPC can do it. I don't want to do it. So I end up just either not watching the video or fast forwarding to a different segment in those sort of videos to sort of learn the bit that I want. So like I said,
that's been a bit of a problem too. Yeah,
just do the basics that you want to do. Like that is, I know you kind of work with those hardware synths, and you want to probably learn the MIDI sequencing side, which is really actually quite easy, and then learn how to sample on it. And I will admit, I still am not the greatest at sampling on the MPC. I'm actually a lot better at sampling on the Force, because it's built to sort of do clips, and it's kind of all in time and everything. So the Force works beautifully for me and works in the way my brain works, which is stupid. But learn that, and I think you'd be fine.
Quite.
If you also want to have a demo mode for all the LEDs, what a letdown. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't think so. Like the Roland stuff, flashing light discos and that.
They should release a new MPC, and all that's in it is the guts of a Casio SK1 sampler. That's all it should be. With the dog goes, woo, 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 woo.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was so
my
good.
First ever sampler. That was.
Yeah.
When I just had a pair of decks, that and a Casio RZ1 drum machine. That was I started it all off.
4 whole samples there, Jamie. 4 whole samples you can have in an RZ1.
Well, that was it. I sampled off my Todd Terry records. I put all kick drum and snare and stuff like that. And I made loads of tracks. I did 2 demos of it.
It was simple. Yeah. It was simple. It was simple because there wasn't an awful lot you could do with it. So you did what it could do, and you pushed it to the limit of what it could do. I mean, and that was sometimes I think it's the limitlessness of something like this here thing, which is if you know it and only do A and B, then you learn A and B, and it does them. So I have to be honest. I'm sitting here now, and I remember actually for a number of weeks bashing my head against the wall with the Roland W30 when I bought it, and actually thinking this is just the stupidest thing on the, and yet actually the W30 isn't stupid. The W30 was actually really straightforward. It was the bloody user. But once certain things had slotted into place, then it became a machine that I could use quickly, easily, effectively. And I'm just, I hope it's not a vain hope, but I hope that the same thing will happen with the MPC. I'm sure it will, because it's such a versatile box. I mean, Ramsey's got them, Inky's got them. Loads of people out there have got these things and use them well and effectively. Why shouldn't I be able to? So it's just keep learning, keep on learning. That's what I've got to do. Oh, my poor brain! I keep losing all these brain cells because of all the beer.
I tell you what, there's something that I've given Jamie praise about this before. I don't know if he remembers or not though, because he's an absolute champ. But Jamie does some sound design videos. He started doing it. Was it last year or early? I can't remember now. And one of the ones he did was he was doing. I think he had the Summit. And I grabbed my peak out when he was doing it, and I was literally following him with my peak. And there's not, I think there was a few things that the peak doesn't do that the Summit does, but other than that, it was pretty much spot on. And like just following someone doing something step by step is really, really, really good way of learning. And I think if someone did that with the MPC for you, that'd be good. You.
I think what I did with them though was it was all in real time. There was no editing, so it was you got you go down an avenue and it doesn't sound right, and you come back and things like that. But for me, making sounds on subtractive synths, it's the same process. 80% of the time, the only time when it comes to making certain sounds when you need to use like inverted envelope.
But
other than that. It's the same sort of process. But yeah, I did a load of those type of videos and videos for different synths, sound design with those. Originally it was just behind the gate on my Patreon, but only having 2 people watch your video after you spent a day making it. It's a bit of a,
Patreon's a bit hard like that. You got like a handful of people that you love to bits because they're supporting you, but it's they
don't watch it. They don't watch them all. So I just released for nothing. Obviously, just released to the public. So tutorials. I don't do a lot of them recently though because they take a fair bit of time and they don't watch them. Yeah. It's only if you're really like you want to really learn how to do this and to finally. I mean, you could be, and there's nothing wrong with it. You could have been using synths for 30 years. And you know how to tweak and twiddle things, but you starting with an init patch and creating something is not something you've really done a lot of, and maybe you didn't like the results of it. And all it is just like what we were talking before about the muscle memory of learning things. And for me, the videos I've done, it's just showing my process. And once you've learned that, it doesn't matter what synth you.
But I don't know. Like I probably wouldn't worry too much, Jamie, about who. I mean, obviously, 4 people watching is one. That's a
no. It was literally 2 views.
But with regards to like, so this show that I do now, I might get maybe 200-300 people watch this, and 40-50 concurrent viewers during the show. That's it. And when you think about it, those people that are watching are the true people that. The ones that really are the true people that watch your channel. When I do those other videos, like the Roland System 100 ones, I'll get 10 times as many views on those videos. But those people, majority of those people aren't loyal to your channel. They're literally there to consume you like a Mars bar, basically, and then they'll throw the wrapper out.
It wasn't. It's never been. It's never been about trying to gain subscribers or views or anything like that. It was just purely let's do something a bit different rather than just doing, making a sound or something like that. Let's do a tutorial on it. And, you do spend a day or 2 doing it. And you want people to view it and get something from it. And I think that was the thing. That obviously at first I thought, okay, let's try and make a a little bit of money back to try and, you know, because the costs of all this streaming and everything.
It's expensive.
Yeah, it's fun and interesting to do, but it can't be done. People are getting something out of it. So, the odd like $3 or $5 once a month. I don't think that's a lot to ask, especially when my stream I don't put ads on.
Same.
Not anymore, anyway.
Yeah, I've stopped doing it.
So, it was annoying me, let alone other people. That big long 8-hour one, I could have stuck loads of ads on there and made, I didn't make loads of money. I probably made about £5.
Make £5.
Are we back to flipping halfpenny again, Jamie?
It's pointless doing ads unless you're like you're up at sort of 100,000 subscriber type
it's
thing.
Pointless. Yeah,
and I'm never going to get up there. It's pointless. So
kind of what I was getting at, Jamie, was
pretty niche.
It wasn't talking about the viewers and the subs. It was more about knowing who your true followers and audience is. And like those, like I was just sort of saying that those videos where you do sound designs, although you might not get, like the ones that you're doing public, of course, not the ones you were talking about before, Patreon, the ones that you're doing public, they're still getting, a good 300-400, maybe 1,000 views.
I just turned them all over.
They are brilliant videos.
Watched.
They are really good.
Yeah, no, thanks. And if whatever, it's just a bit of time. And because I was in that position, God, you could even say 5-6 years ago, I didn't really make my own patches from scratch. I had no need to. It was just a case of I got made redundant. But prior to that, I thought, I've got a bit of time, and I'd always liked some of the sounds that I'd made, but I never really did a load from scratch. So I just started doing it, and what helped is it was the OB6, and you can't really make that thing sound bad. So. So I made a bunch of patches for that. I put them out, actually. No, I did it was the Base Station 2. That was the first one I made sounds for, and I put them out for free. But then the OB6, I put them out, and people were saying, you should do a bank. And I thought, well, why not? I'll do a bank. Why not? I'll give it a go. And put it out, and they started to sell a fair bit. I wasn't charging a huge amount. I wasn't doing it for a living. And then I got made redundant, and I got my redundancy money, and I thought, right, it's either buy a new video kit, because that's what I used to do. I used to do video production, or I can put it into this synth stuff and see what happens there. So I sold all my vintage gear, that all went, and even sold my house and moved. And then everything that I got, I just bought all the latest synths, and then just went full steam ahead with patches. So yeah, that's been my kind of journey. But at the end of the day, that's the thing. You only just need to spend a good couple of hours, turn off your phone, just sit in front of your machine, your synth, turn the computer off maybe, or just have your iPad or phone, and then just do it. Get in that zone. And once you've learned the process, I'm probably putting myself out of business because you won't buy any patches, but you'll just make your own for fun.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think you will cement or strengthen your resolve in that industry because you become the master, and people will always look towards that as.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but
well, I would. I mean, who else is there? Honestly, I would.
Oh no, there's quite a few people.
I mean, we're talking about Eric. Like Eric from, he did the D50 patches all those years ago. He's been
Cursing.
Yeah, Eric Cursing.
Cursing. Yeah. There's guys like him, but
one of the only ones that really shoves my face out though as well. That's probably one of the differences. A lot of sound designers don't. So, but there's what. That was one thing. Howard Scar. Yeah, I made a little. He's a sound designer. You probably would have seen his in the Quantum and things like that. But I made a post in the ProSynth Network group yesterday about sampling. Tricks. What's your top tip to give? And I said, well, it was the ADSR for the filter.
Yes.
And got a reply from Hans Zimmer of all people.
Oh yes.
In the thread. I thought, Jesus Christ. You know, so I did a cheeky, I'll do a little show. Do you want to come on? I haven't heard it. That's a bit of a surprise, though, wasn't it?
It is cool though, because it just shows these guys are just they're the same as us. They're just into it.
Yeah, they're just into nerds.
They've had more success, maybe, but you know that's okay. Did you guys see the video where they talked about on Sonic State, where they talked about John Carpenter, and they were talking about how. So I don't know if they actually talked about this on Sonic State, because I when I watch Sonic State, sometimes I watch it on replay because it's late for me, and I tend to pause it. So if they talk about something I haven't seen, I'll pause it and then I'll go and watch what they've talked about. You know,
the Alex Ball video.
Yeah, so I went and had a look at the Alex Ball video, and he was, had the other guy,
really good.
Forget his name, but he was awesome. Who worked with, John Carpenter and did that Escape from New York, whole music thing. So then I ended up going and watching the whole movie Escape from New York, because I just wanted. I can't believe that I've never actually seen that movie. So I've heard the soundtrack a million times. I know the soundtrack, right? But I've never seen the movie. So I watched it. It was actually quite good. It was actually quite a good movie. Anyway, so the whole point I was sort of getting at was, Hans Zimmer or John Carpenter, all these guys. They, at the end of the day, they're just composers. They're just interested in music and finding different sounds. And if you go and watch the actual movie, as John Carpenter actually wanted you to do it, instead of just listening to it, you actually watch it because you get the visual feedback as well as the sound. It's like a little discovery of all the synth sounds that you can recognize. It's actually really, really cool. While you've got sound effects of explosions and people getting punched and all that sort of stuff happening at the same time, it's actually quite a good sort of thing to do. And I'm going, that's an Odyssey. Oh, that's a Quadra. That was I definitely could hear the 2600 in that. I could hear the Prophet 5. It's really, really cool to do. And if you ever get a chance to watch it again, I know you guys have all seen it, but who knows how long ago, but it's on YouTube now. You can just download it and watch it on YouTube, which is really, really cool. So just that Pro Synth Network group, if you guys are on Facebook, check that out. It's a good group. One of the things with Facebook, I find, I've been in big synth groups before on Facebook and left them because they have agendas. They have people that get let to have things happen, and they don't give the same liberties to other people. So it's like
bias. It's bias. I mean, I don't. Pro Synth Network are good in that they allow me to, say, like post, and you do as well in your streaming thingy, like post, say that I'm going to do the show, but I mean, I don't think I abuse any of that. Maybe it's once a week I'll post something about that, but you're going to put it in somewhere like that. It's not going to go in like my favorite cat kind of Facebook group, are you? It's going to go in the relevant sort of synth thing, but yeah, it's I don't know where I'm going with it really, but
I think the way I see it, the way I see it, Jamie, is like you and I are similar. If we're going to put a post up, it's not because we love the sound of our own voice. It's because we actually feel that someone else actually may be interested in this, and that's why we're putting it there. And if no one's interested in it, so be it. But it's there for people to.
Just there wasn't really anything around. I mean, you could or before COVID and before yourself and me, because I only started doing live streams because I was live streaming my sound design because I was making sound. So I thought, well, I may as well just see it, live. And then from then on, people were asking me, what about this latest synth? What do you think about that? So I was talking to them, and I thought, do you know what? It makes sense just to do a sort of show. But I started doing it at 8 p.m. on a Sunday, and then somebody else started doing it at the same time, and I thought, I'll move it, make it a bit easier for myself anyway, for 6 p.m. But it wasn't really up until probably episode 30 that I started to think, because up to that point I was thinking of just pulling it, and every day I was thinking, can I be bothered doing this? Well, I'm doing that, I'm not doing it. But the reason was there was, apart from Sonic State, there was nothing else to watch about synthesizers. You know, apart from going to everyone's individual channel. There wasn't this place where I could there and then get to hear somebody's music or somebody else's view on a synth that you know, or learn something new as well. So you know, obviously there's your channel, and then I think we sprung up at a similar sort of time. And it's great now that we can watch Sonic State. We can watch something on a Saturday with you. We can watch something with me. In fact, there's quite a lot that goes on a Sunday now. In terms of the shows, Presonus Network after mine, and sometimes others. Robin Vincent, he does quite a lot of them.
Gaz Williams got his show now.
And we're going to see more and more of this, especially now we're going in, it looks like another one of these crazy lockdowns. So the streaming's all we've got, isn't it, really, now? Or recording sessions. There's no gigging anymore. So I think we're all looking for ways, and there's no money in it. If people think there's money in streaming, there isn't. There's nothing. You might get $30-40 from Google at the end of the month if you're lucky. But other than that, we've got to find some way of doing it that's good for the audience, for them to get something out of it. But at the same time, if you know, can't keep buying cameras and buying all this sort of stream software and all this type of thing. If at the end of the day, your pockets are just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So
that's true.
But I mean, in a question earlier on about there was someone in the chat room about making a living off doing synth patches. I mean, you can, but it's not the synth patches. It's like anything that you can come up with, a product or whatever. You've just got to understand how to run a business. I think that's the thing. I do everything I do is 100% legal. You know, I've got an accountant. I've got everything is all sort of declared. But there's many sound designers that have been doing it for years who don't say it, and that's up to them. But that does kind of affect me. It undercuts me. But you get that in other sort of walks of life, don't you, as well?
Yeah, I think, you know, that's why I like to plug your patch business as well, because like we all volunteer our time for free. Like that's what I keep saying each week. It's not that I'm trying to get sympathy or anything. I'm just making it real.
I don't think it's anything like that. I mean, you know, we're not Max to say poor streamers. We're not poor streamers. But the thing is, if you're watching shows like this and you're getting something out of it, maybe even it's just down to entertainment, then I don't think there's anything wrong in giving back. Say like, you know, like Wagyu always does. But he's amazing at always.
He does. He's awesome.
And he doesn't have to, but he, you know. It's like I'm enjoying this, so thank you very much for doing it, and it spurs you on to do more. If you plenty of people that Jesus Christ, like I'll do, people will try, and I've had all manner of schemes of people trying to get my patches for nothing, and it's horrible, and they don't see the value in it, you know. And I just had one the other day, and trying to penny pinch and everything, trying to get off. Oh, can't you do this? Can't do this? And it was trying some of the funny ways, and it was for a bloody Moog 1. He's got like $8,000 on a synth, but he didn't want to pay this small percentage for sounds that took me 2 months to make. So sorry, I'm having a rant now. I'll leave that. Leave your rant aside.
I think
one of the people like that. I think it's well worth saying though at this point. You mentioned you know, Wagyu, but there's all these guys in the chat. We see this. We see them on your show. We see them on Pro Synth Network, on Sonic State. The same names are there, and they form, from my point of view, a really lovely core to a community, and it's always great to see them there. So I think that it's worth applauding that actually the work that you do, Jamie, the work that Ramsey does, the work that's been done on Sonic State and Gaz Williams and all these other people, Robin Vincent, they've independently of each other created what's become a fairly coherent community, and I think it's wonderful. I really do think it's wonderful. You know, I was on Pro Synth Network last week, and I said much the same thing. It's fabulous that this is available to us, and long may it continue. You know, it's fabulous. I really do appreciate the efforts that You guys that have put in the time and the expense into setting up these streaming capabilities, I doff my cap to you, because it's provided a wonderful source of entertainment. I mean, I spend far more time sitting in front of my computer watching things on YouTube than I ever do in front of my television anymore, because I can choose my own crap on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the crap I choose is you guys. Yeah, almost every day I'm watching the videos that are coming out. And I appreciate and I value it. You mentioned Patreon, Jamie. When I first set up a I was just going to say, about Patreon. I have I have 5 patrons that I support. I said I wasn't going to go any further than that, but I'm now looking at those 5 and thinking, I'm not sure that person needs my support anymore. And I'm not sure that person needs my support anymore. And I'm thinking about, I might actually switch to other smaller people who've got Patreon accounts to say, and I chuck them a 5. I mean, I'm only spent £25 a month. I used to spend £25 a month on magazines, which I don't anymore.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money, But it's entirely up to you, and it's a great thing. Go chopping and changing. Many people do it. I mean, I don't have a lot, relatively a lot on my sort of Patreon. But I mean, just to answer some question there about I get free gear. I've never had a bit of free gear off anybody. The only bit of gear I've had was payment for making patches on that particular synth. So other than that, the Behringer reviews I've done, all the other reviews, that I've bought the thing myself and then spent 2 days reviewing it, filming it and editing it, and to put it out. And some may watch it, some may not. So there's a lot of people think that you do this and there's some backhanders, or there's relatively, even making patches directly for manufacturers isn't very compared to maybe doing it third party as yourself. So no, just to address somebody in there, I don't get anything sent to me.
That's a good point, because
I'm not a reviewer anyway.
Yeah, I'm the same, Jamie. I think it's a good point, because I feel strongly about this, and you've probably heard me say it on the Process Network when I was on there. The gear that I show on the show is all being purchased by me, because I want it. I own it for a reason. I actually want to use it in music and play with it and things like that. So, tonight, I do a news segment, and these companies that I do news for, they get free plugs from me. But I don't expect anything back. I'm not one of those people that expect something back from them. So, like, for example, Modal, Electronics, I reached out to them and I said, look, just out of courtesy, I said to them, look, guys, you're a small company. I'm a small YouTuber. I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be talking about your Cobalt8. Is there anything that you guys should give me information-wise, not a synth or anything, but just give me information-wise that, you may want me to mention. And they came back to me within a few hours of that email going out. They sent me audio samples. They sent me pictures, as much as they could. And they actually wanted to come on the show, but they were too busy because of all the other stuff that's going on with their new release. But they did say to me that, if they had more time, they would have come on the show. And I thought that was so nice of them to even say that, because, I mean, I didn't even ask them. It was just more just a courtesy. But the fact that they went to all that trouble and gave me that information and that, okay, yeah, they're a company and it's going to benefit them, but they out of maybe hundreds of people that I have reviewed over the year and a half that I've been doing this for, are probably one of the only ones that have done that. There's a few others, and I won't go into those yet because you'll find out who they are soon, but I don't expect anything back from anyone, and I'm not doing it because I want something. I'm not doing it to try and go to some sort of next stage or be some sort of media mogul or anything like that. It's purely just because I'm interested in it, and I think you guys are interested in it too, and that's why I show it. So, like, today we had 4 different news items. They were all completely different. One was a remake of something that Moog have already, and it was interesting to see why they've done that, and the point I was sort of making about that is they brought this thing out before the Mother 32. And if you look at this thing, you'll say to yourself, I can see where the Mother 32 came from. and you can see why they brought this thing back out, because it's a cheap way of getting yourself into Moog, which is why I brought it up on the show. The Modal I brought up because I've got an Argon 8, and I just like, wow, this synth looks exactly the same as an Argon 8. There's got to be something more to it. And as I started peeling back all the information, I just discovered this amazing sounding synth, and now I'm really excited about getting one. They're so cheap. So like a small little synth company in the UK making these really affordable synths that sound amazing, that's got to be cool for us. So let's talk about it. That's kind of the logic behind why I do things on my show. And I don't know, some people don't like it, but that's okay. That's life. Not everyone likes everyone, do they?
There's going to be more shows over time, more people doing it. You know, and bless them. You know, I'm all for them. You know,
bring them on.
To do it more the better, really. In some cases, well, there's the thing. You're in control. You know, you'll see some people go, "Oh, I don't like that fella," or "I don't like him," or you know, reviewing. Well, you don't watch them.
Yeah,
you know,
turn it off. Yep.
So, but yeah, there's this is forcing this whole sort of worldwide situation is forcing us in this music industry to find different avenues, and some manufacturers are going to do it themselves. People, you know, work in it like Loopop and who are sort of freelance, if you like, and Bow Beats. Their established way of manufacturers having their products go to people who, you know, because they've got the large numbers of subscribers and stuff like that. I'm the same with you, Ramsey. Cool synth comes out, right? I want to buy it. I want to play with it, and I'm going to do a video about it while I'm playing it, so you can learn this about it at the same time I am. And I found you can do this type of thing, and then you put it out, and then the video goes out. Some people like it, some won't, and a couple of days later, you're thinking about something else to do.
Yeah, you move on. Exactly.
You do move on.
Yeah. Exactly it. Yeah.
So we're waiting for Andy's video on his how to MPC.
Yeah. Challenge for you there, Andy.
That's not going to happen for a long time. I promise you, it's not. I mean, I don't stick an awful lot up on my channel. I only do it when I've got something that I feel is that I want to stick up, and at the moment, the learning curve, I'm not prepared. Maybe I should actually just stick my mobile phone up there on a little stand and film myself trying to do battle with the MPC when this is all finished. Well, I'll go right. I'll do an hour and then put it up on my channel going 1 hour with Andy trying to learn the MPC, and no, it's Lisa, not a good idea. It's really not a good idea.
Brought to you by Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa earlier on, she said there should be a segment on your show, Ramsey, every week. It's Andy and his MPC. I can see you creating a nice sting for that at the beginning. Animating Andy and MPC coming together. And this.
I'm going to slap you, mate. I'm telling you. Right? Because you know what? That is going to happen now. Regardless of what... Even if I'm not even bloody on, even if I say I'm not coming on next Saturday because I want to sit in a darkened room picking my nose, right? There's going to be people saying, "How's Andy getting on with his MPC?" Oh, actually,
we just need to change this.
Brilliant suggestion.
We need to change this and put Andy's face on it. That's what we need to do. It needs to be Andy's face.
Jamie, it's a brilliant suggestion. What have you learned on your MPC this week? Well, actually,
yeah.
Andy's rant section.
I think sort of. I think Darren's nodded off.
What we're talking about. Earlier, in the chat is saying this show and a few others like it are far more genuine and heartfelt than the paid to review channels, hands down. And I totally get that, totally understand that if you've got people that are real. But they are, whether we like it or not, they are people of like Loopop, they are part of this industry of how we get to here. And Nick Bat, Sonic State, he's reviewing things. Sonic State is a business. It's not just like it's not a bricklayer during the day.
True.
Nick said that he won't review things that he doesn't like. He's got to feel like he's got something worthwhile and positive to say about something that he's reviewing, and that's,
he didn't do the prologue or wouldn't for a while. I remember.
Yeah.
There was one I can't remember. I can't actually remember. There was one that he completely just didn't do, and I can't remember what it was.
I'm sure it was the prologue. It was the prologue, and it took a long while before he actually turned around to address it.
I think it was the Akai, wasn't it? Wasn't it the Akai rhythm within those? Did he? I don't think he did those, did he?
No.
So I'm pretty sure it was one of those. But yeah, there was one that definitely, yeah. But yeah, speaking of weird things, we should probably finish the show because we've been going for 3 hours.
Have we? Blimey.
Wow. And yeah, I don't want to beat Jamie's record because Jamie can have that record.
Yeah, it was a good test, I must admit, and that's why I agreed to do it. And if anyone's thinking, no, there was no money changed hands in there was nothing. It was all volunteered, and it was volunteered for the guests, which was amazing. Talking to Dave Smith and Adrian Utley.
That was a proper highlight. And it was great stuff.
Many others,
good.
And it was just a good old test, and like I say, it wasn't for.
Yeah,
I got some great comments from it, so but for me, it was a test to see if this stuff could go for that long, and it kind of half of it worked, half of it didn't. So I learned a lot from it. So, am I going to do them every week? Absolutely not.
Yeah. What was the things that broke? Well, out of curiosity, what were the things that broke?
Oh, Wirecast was just crap as usual. The audio in it. I had to the night before. I mean, because all of that show was put together in 2 weeks. It was. I just got a call from Paul Gilby of Sound on Sound, and he just said, "Oh, we're doing a pop-up 48-hour website. Can you just let people when you next do your show, just tell people about it?" And I said, "Well, are you doing like a chat room maybe, or something where like in the chat now people can have a little thing?" And there was nothing really sort of thought of. So I said, "Well, I can do a little live stream," and there was others, and then from there it grew into, well, I could get some YouTubers that I've already spoke to before, and then I could do some pre-records with manufacturers, and then it just snowballed into this thing. And I was literally, I mean, it went live Saturday at 2 p.m. I did the last interview with Adrian Utley at 11 in the morning on Saturday. I had to edit it all, and I rendered it out by half an hour before I was due to go live. And
wow.
I had to cut it savagely for the simple reason it dropped out every few 30, 40 seconds. And Wirecast, when that drops out and you lose your guest, it comes up with little question marks on the screen. So you have to cut it out. So that took a huge amount of time doing it. And as I said, Wirecast was having problems. I reached out to them, and to be honest, they're not really interested. I've loads of things. You can't use like a VST, your own AU or VST for effects in there. You just can't do it. And what they do have in there for effects is it's all just numbers and a slider, and you can't even save a preset. Loads of problems, but the Wirecast aren't interested. But I don't want to buy a PC and a separate thing. I've just spent, on this new iMac for this particular reason, that my old machine couldn't handle the streaming. So, that's like with the RAM, a good $4,000 down just to carry on to be able to grow the show to get more people in. It's doesn't grow on trees, certainly.
It's a shame that they didn't support you though. And I know you're kind of sort of stuck in that Mac world, but I can't actually speak any higher of vMix and the people.
I know. I've looked at vMix.
It's so good. It is so good.
Yeah.
The guys that develop
the
it,
thing is,
they're behind it.
It's
as
Rendezvous.
Well.
It's Rendezvous that's built in. So now I tested out again, like I was saying about that long 8-hour one. It was the first time I tried out Zoom. And Zoom has got stereo audio. It's got higher quality audio. The video's not as great, but that's what I'm gonna. But it doesn't have like individual NDIs like you can with Skype. So it's all or nothing people that come in. So that's not ideal. None of them are there yet, but I just didn't want to buy a big box with Windows on it because I haven't got the space just to do the streaming. And I thought, yeah, I could use Boot Camp on this, but then I've got my other software. I can't use Logic because I'll be in Windows, and it's nothing's ideal, is it?
Yeah. I mean, even with this, right? So having U3 coming in, it really just completely hammers my internet connection. Like, probably you have to kind of work out. It's mathematical. You have to work out how much bandwidth each one of those feeds is going to cost your internet connection. Right. And then it's got to wrap all that up and send it back out. So I'm now actually streaming from my ATEM, this one here, the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. It's actually a little red button here that says it's on air. That's the streaming. It's streaming out from that. So it takes the duty of streaming off of your computer. Not that it needed to, but it's just, if you think about it from a network point of view, you've got traffic coming in, and then if it's got to turn around and send that traffic back out on the same machine, that's holding all that through down one network interface. Yeah, okay, you can have gigabit, you can have 10 gigabit, whatever. It doesn't actually matter, because if your internet's a tiny little pinhole and you've got 10 gigabits sitting behind it, it's just going to be trying to do that. Whereas with this, it's a separate device sitting on the network on the router, and it can manage it properly. It's just the way TCP/IP works. Because I work in the IT industry, I understand a little bit more about that sort of stuff. So you don't have to have something else separately stream it out. I just find that the ATEM is a standalone device. It's not checking emails and watching YouTube. It's just doing that. So for me, it's been reliable. But ever since I've started doing that, and I got the new internet connection here earlier this year, you guys would have noticed there's a massive improvement in the quality of the videos feeds that I get from you guys coming in. And you got to remember, I'm on the bottom part of the world, and it's crisp as anything. You guys are nice and clear. Like, I cannot be happier with that. It's really, really good quality videos coming in from, the UK all the way back to Australia. I mean, yeah, we have to, kind of worry about Darren's face, but other than that, it's kind of, he didn't even hear it.
You're not listening, are you?
It's, yeah, but I think
I am. I've just,
Jamie, if I was to do 8 hours streaming on the ATEM, I probably wouldn't. I don't know if I could trust it. So I'd probably stream from the PC. Yeah. Same thing as you, but
it's amazing though. It is amazing though, the fact that here we are, 2020, that we're able to do this sort of stuff anyway in our own bedrooms. It's crazy when you just think about not only the gear that's sort of gone, but what was it, Marshall Arnold put? It was like a picture of the 80s. It showed a guy with a camera and a phone and all this other tech. And it said, like, all of this is just now in the palm of your hand. And, the fact that we are able to do all this sort of streaming, yes, it's frustrating. I mean, Nick Batt just did a video about, with maths about sort of MIDI over sort of the internet and syncing up MIDI and things like that. It's like, it is. I didn't quite get it. It's a little bit too techie with me, but the fact that we're looking, people like that are looking at that sort of stuff. Other people will benefit from it eventually. So, but no, I'm looking forward to a lot more streams from other people and seeing what they do. There's quite a lot of these types of shows in other languages as well. I've seen Germany. There's quite a few out of Germany. There's French ones.
There's a guy that's like Nick in Germany. I can't remember his name now.
He's been on Nick's
show. He's been on for years. Yeah,
Peter.
Yeah, I can remember the fellow.
I've forgotten his name.
He swears a lot.
Yeah, I think he's actually been on Sonic State once or twice as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, and look, at the end of the day, the fact that there's more of us out there doing this sort of stuff, that's cool.
Non-Eric,
that's him. Yeah, that's cool. And like Jamie said, that it's more for us to watch, more for us to consume. I think I kind of sort of agree with what you guys were saying about Patreon before. Like, I I will support people that I feel. It's not like a benevolent support. It's. I don't want to sort of make people feel it like that. It's more like a thumbs up from me. It's like a here, have a beer. That's kind of the way I see it. It's like Patreon. You're not going to make a living out of that. It's literally it's like a cup of coffee. It's really chump change. So
I suppose if you're when you're spending like Andy's doing, multiple people, I think I chop and change a little bit, and I think it's been Loopop for the past 3-4 months that I sort of support, and but yeah, it's not going to be until that level where you kind of, and plus Patreon, these platforms might not be around next year, so it's especially Patreon. Didn't they have some issues or something?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they disappear soon. Yeah.
So but yeah, it's all good fun, but people don't have to. It's not like we're all sort of like begging for money. I'm a sound designer. I put my cap on. That's what I do. This stuff I do on the internet is just additional. But heart, that's what my occupation is making patch libraries for composers, game composers, and people who want to learn how to make sounds, so they deconstruct my stuff, or they hear a pad and it's inspiration, and that's how, there's many different reasons. It's not like an ego thing, like, oh, I wouldn't buy presets. You do get arseholes like that around, but and then they can't stick two sawtooths together. But that's the way it is, isn't it? Really. But,
you met them in the pub. They might have a couple of sawtooths. I was just going to say to Fail Muso, who's Robbie Furicelli, big hello to you, mate. The issue that you've got is your 20 megabits per second up. That's your issue. It's not the downloads, it's the uploads. So, and usually it depends on how your internet service provider sets up your link to. Some internet connections are asynchronous and some are duplex. So, for example, I've got two internet connections here. One is asynchronous because it's called NBN. It's crap. Won't even go there. And the other one I've got is a fixed wireless connection, which is on microwave technology, and that is full duplex. So that means it can send and receive at the same time. So
you
better look at
things on Facebook, don't you? You put your numbers. It's
I put
like
my numbers on
speed.
Facebook. Yeah. And I do it just for historical purposes, because sometimes it's really crap. Like I get really bad, and sometimes it's really good. But
I'm the same, Robbie. It's 20 megabits upload for me. That's the best I can get.
See, with 20, you'd be struggling. Like Robbie has like 2 or 3 guests, and they're coming in through Skype. It's going to really like throttle those connections. It's going to really.
I mean, I was all right with that. It was the problem was Wirecast, the application itself was, for instance, it comes up. I don't know what yours looks like, but it has icons of each shot. And the longer the stream went on, I click it, nothing would happen until maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and then the shot would select. And the longer the stream went on, the longer that gap went on, up until like probably hour 6. I had to turn it off and restart Wirecast, which isn't great, is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so I think Blackmagic are probably going to be the way to go. If Blackmagic have, because it's playing like it's replaying video, it's that type of thing, and that if it's all in one box, and yes, it has mini jack inputs, but if it had like XLR on it, if they had like a system that's like what they've got now, but a bit bigger, a bit pro. And I'm sure they're doing it, but then software that matches the same type of thing you'd get in like Wirecast, then if they did that, wow, I would jump ship quicker than,
Roland got close to it with their V1 HD.
They'll stop
working
off
the table where it wouldn't take different. So the thing with the ATEMs is getting technical now, but it can take multiple different types of frame rates and camera You know, like, so you can have different resolution. You can have 720, 1080, 4K. You know, it's actually a scaler, what they call in the video industry. It's called an upscaler. So it scales it to whatever its output is. Its output is, say, 60p, 1080. You know, that's exactly what, doesn't matter what's coming in, it'll upscale it to that. So that's where it absolutely shits all over the competition, because like Roland's would only take the same input as it outputs. And if you didn't have the same input, it would just show you a black screen. So I think where Blackmagic are going, I don't know if you guys ever look at their website. They've got really high end, you know, studio production, television stuff. They do have stuff with XLR inputs and stuff like that. So if you want that, you can go and spend your money and get that. This is more for kind of like the desktop streamer, like, which is what I am. It has two 3.5 millimeter audio inputs on there, and it records those two inputs as a separate audio file. I think it's incredible for a tiny little box. It records every single video feed. It for the money that you spend, it's incredible. But other than that, there's definitely some improvement, and I think, you know, if they met with the guys at Zoom in Japan and said, right, we're gonna join forces, we're gonna grab some of your cool stuff, and we're gonna grab some of your cool video stuff and merge them together into one product. I reckon
that makes sense.
That would literally just create rockets around the world. Everyone would be just like, take my money, like the KFC ad.
Yeah, no, it would do. It would do. It would. People would, in our sort of, you know, musicians at home, if you're doing a track, why not stream it at the same time you're doing it? You don't have to talk. You know, you could just answer people's questions while you're doing it. It's a different. That's how I sort of got into it. There was no real intention of I was just making sounds, and I thought some people might be interested to watch me while I'm doing it. You know, I mean, there was one guy I was watching who fixes, I can't remember his name now, but he fixes like old Macs laptops and solders them and all that. I can't remember his name. He's huge, but he got absolutely huge, and that's nerdy as anything. I can't solder for toffee, but it was under these microscopes, these little micro transistors, and he was going. It was really nerdy, but I was finding myself watching there for like 2 hours. So I knew there'd be some audience of some people wanting to, you know, figure out, he's making a pad sound. How's he doing that then?
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Oh, keep doing it. You know, it's growing.
Oh, yeah, same with you, mate. Same with you. I mean, you know, you've got your nice, you've got a format to your show. You've got your regular guests that are in. You bring in other guests as well. We all seem to like share the same guests. It's like the old 1970s TV shows where they get the special starring guest who'd be from Happy Days that were then going into another show or something. But you know, it's only sort of going to grow, and I hope it does. It's great for me. I watch a show, whether if I can make it live or I can I'll watch it back. Same with Sonic State, and
I knew the views would be a bit lower today because we had that time zone change. So just to give you some stats, we had 44 at the top of the concurrent viewers, which is we had 56 last week, so that's dropped a bit, but 300 people watched the show. That's insane. How can 300 people like to listen to me crap on? Just I don't understand.
Well, the great thing about live streaming is there's no editing involved after.
That's it. Just turn it off.
I just hit go in the YouTube blue button thing, and then when it's finished, I turn it off, and that's it. I don't have to return to it. I can't even bother putting chapters in it. It's such a pain in the backside.
I do that.
Just do the next one.
I do that the next day. Yeah,
I did on the 8-hour one because I was asked to, but I did do it. But the other ones, normally I just don't bother. They're gone. And now without the ads, you know, people can just piddle around doing whatever they're doing in the house while they listen to me and other people rattling on.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to end it on that real big positive note. But big thanks, Jamie and Andrew and Darren, for coming on. And a big, awesome thanks to these people here who stick with us every week. You know who you are. Thank you very much for watching. And we're going to say goodbye and see you next week, and probably see you on the next show tomorrow, whatever we're watching, when we were talking. So, wave goodbye, Darren. Say goodbye.
See you, folks.
See you later. Have a good week.
Yeah.
Take care.
Right.